The College Football Experience Week 3 preview and picks episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Hop on over. They got college football best ball, folks. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Mike Leach, head football coach at Mississippi State, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the College Football Experience Week 3 preview picks. Oh boy. What the hell happened to the first 3 weeks already? Week 0, week 1, week 2. What happened? We're already at week 3. We only got like 14 of these friggin' things. So it's going a little too fast. Life's going too fast. Slow down and get on over to youtube.com/the college experience and hit that like and subscribe button. All right. Get on over there. Slow it down. Have a cocktail. Whatever you're doing out there. Maybe you want to light a candle for the episode. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to do
or light something else.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at there. Whatever. Just sit back, kick back, get on over there, youtube.com/the college experience, and let the good times roll. All right. As we get started, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
Oh boy, the road to the 12. Look, a lot of people kind of throwing some low-key shade at this week. I disagree with all of them. All right, this is a great week. It's a phenomenal week. I think it's better than week 1. I'm just going to throw it out there. This is better than week 1 because you got a lot of just great rivalry games, all right? And that's what I'm here for, all right? Get on over there. youtube.com/the college experience. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh! Well,
let's get it going, buddy. Let's get it going. I don't know about you, buddy, but this week's fire. All right? You got a lot of rivalries going back the distance, all right? And then you got some new matchups with some heat. Oh, and James S. said he's already taken Texas State money line. Once again, hop on in the chat. We're also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. And yes, we are dropping DFS episodes every single week regarding the college football weekday slate and the Saturday slate. We got one scheduled for tomorrow morning. So hop on over there, and people are asking about. Well, look, we'll get to that. This guy does not have a man bun. Give it up for the DFS guy himself, the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
I know we're not in the studio on this. But we'll be back next Tuesday, but. The Bosworth song sounds good anyway.
Always sounds good.
Man, it's been, me and Patty C reacted Me and Moneyline Mac dropped our bracketology episode. Go listen to that. Check out Moneyline Mac. Noah Beanick also doing great work with the college basketball experience. But NC Nick, we haven't heard from you, so I'd like to give you a little bit to react here. Your thoughts on week 2 college football? And
week 2 was fantastic. Let me just cut you off right there because I know where you might be going. Look, this week coming up, there's a lot of sneaky good games, a lot of local rivalries. But week 2 was awesome. You had the big upset. You had overtime games, especially that like noon Eastern time slate. Like going down to the wire there. I was flipping between so many different games. It was a fantastic Saturday of football, and people might be sleeping on this coming weekend, but usually those are the weekends.
Early technical difficulties.
There's the Notre Dame Irish fans coming at him right there.
I was just talking my ass off. I don't even know where I stopped, but dude, week 2 was great.
Yeah,
you were talking about usually those weeks that aren't looked up to or look forward to.
Yeah, some people might be looking at the games and say, this looks kind of weak here, but sometimes those weekends are the best actual games. And there's a lot of good football coming up, and let's do it. Let's pick these.
Let's go. Wanted to touch on a couple things. First off, Noah, behind the scenes, can you get, when we go to read the ad, can you load up the screen for Underdog Fantasy? Because it's for some reason rejecting my location right now, even though I'm in. It's there we go. Look, one of the big things was Northern Illinois. I got into it with Tom Fornelli. I like Tom Fornelli. I think he's a good analyst, but I just thought that was such a stale, disgusting take with the fact that he says this is why the 12-team playoff sucks. Notre Dame should not be allowed into the 12-team playoff. They shouldn't even have a chance. And I hate that side of it because he stole the narrative from Northern Illinois. And I also think like before, when it was a 14 playoff, we saw Ohio State get in losing by 14 to a 6-6 Virginia Tech team that had lost to, they had lost to this team. I didn't.
I got a feeling we might hear that song more than just that once tonight.
Oh yeah. So like I got into it. It bothers me the narrative that I can't help but notice that some of these people, they're in bed with CBS and stuff. So it's like, I thought it was. I think I like Tom Fornelli a lot, by the way. I think he's a very good analyst. He did a great article, countless great articles. But I just thought, what a stale, boring take. And everything that's wrong with college football, I thought was like, how are you not talking about how it could be Northern Illinois now that becomes must-watch TV? So you took the negative side of this, not the positive side of this. And I wouldn't even agree that there's a negative side to it. I think Notre Dame should still be alive. If Ohio State was still alive by losing to a 6-6 team at home, I think Notre Dame should still be alive. We don't know. I hate the fact that we just assume Notre Dame's schedule shitty. I do that as well, but I'm saying like we don't know. Northern Illinois might go 12-0. USC might win the Big Ten. Georgia Tech might play for the ACC championship, or Louisville, and all of a sudden that schedule looks a lot better. Florida State could rebound and go 9-3. So they just had their bye. My point is that it's just silly to me, and to say something negative about the 12-team playoff and not make it about what is exciting about the 12-team playoff, which is Northern Illinois just won a gigantic game that they might have that chip in their pocket if they're going up against Boise, if they're going up against Liberty or ECU or App State or whoever. They might have that saying, hey, we have a win at Notre Dame. This is why, and I actually think as someone that I remember when Northern Illinois beat Alabama or beat Nebraska. Before, that game was cool because it happened, but you didn't. This makes me want to watch every Northern Illinois game moving forward. I just thought that take was so bad, and I think we should be better as anybody covering the sport. What's exciting is now Northern Illinois should have that path with that win, but instead we chose to come at the negative side of that, which I don't even think it holds any merit. Am I crazy?
No, you're not. It's wrong on a couple different fronts because A, Notre Dame should not be disqualified because they lost in week 2. And B, you're right. How about we look at the flip side of the coin and look at what it did for Northern or potentially does for Northern Illinois?
Yeah.
Well,
let
me play devil's advocate here a little bit. I think what Fernelli was probably getting at is traditionally a loss to a team the likes of Northern Illinois. Now, again, I think
they're 2-0. They're 2-0. What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is traditionally they haven't been a contender in the college football sphere. At any point.
They went to the Orange Bowl. They went to a.
You could just say a loss to a MAC school. I think would
in general, yes. Is disqualifying you from winning in a national championship situation. The exception being Ohio State, but they're one of the only teams that's ever been given an opportunity to be in the playoff after having a loss like that. So it's a pretty small sample size. And as a matter of fact, actually, it's probably a pretty good chance based on that you end up having some success in the playoff, even with a loss like that. So, but the other side of that is, I don't know, probably if we looked traditionally at like teams that lose to like 3 or 4 lost teams throughout the season, they rarely win the national championship. Whether it be during the
we don't know, like Northern Illinois could win the MAC.
Yeah, at this point, I think you can't disqualify obviously that as even in a former
Clemson beat Alabama in the national championship while losing at home to a 6-6 Pitt team that won a bowl game and ended up going 7-6.
Okay,
what's the difference between Pitt and Northern Illinois? If Northern Illinois is a traditional bowl team.
That's true. Okay, but how many times traditionally, off the top of your head, it might be something that requires some research, has a power or a national champion lost to like a group of 5 team?
Probably never.
Is there a difference between a group of 5 team and a mid-major or a middle of the row ACC or Big Ten team? I don't really think there is. Like a good group of 5 like Northern Illinois historically has been. I don't see a difference between them and Pitt.
I agree with you. I mean, you could argue that the talent level is typically a little different. I don't necessarily even agree with that because obviously those recruiting rankings are skewed toward the big programs. And there are tons of examples of MAC teams churning out great draft picks. And so maybe there is just as much talent on the likes of Northern Illinois right now as there is on a Pitt. But you see teams with a lot of talent sometimes get up for huge games.
I'm just saying, like
let's reel this conversation in a little bit. I think what he's arguing is that the regular season doesn't mean as much because it's the same old argument. It doesn't mean as much because last year this loss would have meant so much more, and this year it doesn't really mean anything because Notre Dame could still run the table and make the playoffs. At the crux of it, that's his argument, right? Is that the regular season now means less? It's that same old wrong, very wrong argument, but that's what he's saying, right?
I think he's saying that, and I think he's saying that a team that wins a national championship should not have a loss like that. And I'm like, well, there's plenty of examples Nebraska played for a national championship after giving up 700 yards to a Colorado team. You know what I mean? Like that beat them by 40 points. So, I mean, like we could go, I get it. We don't know what Northern Illinois could be 4-8 for all we know. But I just think if you're going to state that, you can't state that right now. They're 2-0. That game wasn't a gimmick. If you watch that game, they were the better team. And I just think they've proven themselves to be a respectable group of 5 year in and year out over the past 25 years. And I don't know. Anyway, I have issue with the narrative. I have issue with the narrative there. The thing should be, how exciting is it that Northern Illinois now becomes must-watch TV, which before we didn't have a system. Before that was like you flush the toilet on Northern Illinois, even though they just won one of the biggest games of their whole entire existence.
And you could also say now Notre Dame might not be able to afford a second loss, which makes, because now, especially losing to the MAC school, if they lose again, then they might be passed over by an SEC or a Big Ten team or something like that. So I still think every game that both these school teams play now is still very important. So I do think he's wrong. Yes.
Yeah.
To go along with that, Notre Dame, like you said, maybe not a whole lot of people were watching that Northern Illinois Notre Dame game. And so their season actually becomes more interesting because more people are tuning in to see if, the rest of their games they'll be able to win out. People may have missed that one moment where it was like Notre Dame had a challenge and blew it. Now people are, they were a shoe-in for the playoff before this. Now people are focused on the entire rest of the season and the big games that are coming up.
Yeah, 100%. And one other nugget I wanted to get to was lost in the luster. Shout out to NC Nick winning a lock battle on the California Golden Bears, getting it done in Auburn, Alabama, and Hugh Freeze, Patty C. Interesting. Brad Powers, great guy, by the way. If you ever check out Brad Powers, I love his stuff. He had a great tweet in his Hugh Freeze's last 18 games overall as a head coach. Hugh Freeze has been a double-digit favorite 9 times, and he's lost 5 of them outright. Patty C, is Hugh Freeze going to work out there in Auburn, Alabama?
I'm overhearing Feinbaum saying he doesn't even want to. It looks like he doesn't even want to be down there. It kind of does look like that. I don't know if I've generally seen Hugh Freeze to have kind of like a positive mojo on the sideline, upbeat kind of vibe. He does look a little like disgruntled down there and unhappy. So year 2, I'm sure Auburn fans traditionally haven't had too much of a leash that they're willing to give coaches. So if he's not feeling it and they're not feeling him, this thing could be done in a heartbeat.
It's funny you mentioned Feinbaum because there is a clip of him saying before the game that there is no chance in hell that Auburn loses to Cal. He almost took it a step further, like the Florida State fan, and said he'd eat a pile of shit or something. But he didn't mention that part. But always funny when Feinbaum's wrong.
One of my favorites was Lane Kiffin subtweeted that and said, "Is there anything you're good at?" Again, to Feinbaum, because remember Feinbaum had called him out before. Right. Check it all out, folks. Look, we're going to get into week 3. But before we do that, I want to let you know you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And look, NFL and college football are in full swing, obviously. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Football Experience and FCS College Football Experience for free picks for every single game against the spread. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Yes, the NFL is back. Just letting you know, just like they're going to let you know about their onside kick. Just so you know, we're kicking an onside kick. And there's what a ridiculous fucking rule change. And there are a ton of great pick'em specials to get you started. Plus, there's great action for college football. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boost and no sweat entries. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries as well. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back. How long, guys, before we got to let them know before there's a passing play? How long with the new NFL rules intact? We're one step away from saying, hey, just so you know, defense, we're going to pass on this play with this brand new bullshit NFL kickoff.
There's going to be a quick slant over the middle. Yeah. Don't hit them too hard. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Just so you know, that slant's coming. It's just a ridiculous fucking rule. I think I never thought we'd get to this point. I never thought in my lifetime, at least, we'd get to this point. But anyway.
Oh, Dundee's fired up today. All right.
I've already had a cocktail or two. So I mean, let's go. I got slides and everything, folks. YouTube.com/the college experience. Jump on over there. Whoa. See if I can correct this. Whoa. There we go. We have a huge game talking about the 12-team college football playoff angle. Arizona State looks like the 72 Dolphins. Cameron Scattaboo, NC Nick, you said, is he Mercury Morris or is he Larry Zonka?
I think it's a hybrid between the two, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona State, I don't think I could be more wrong about a team. Maybe in our 5 years of doing this, either that or Mississippi State and Wyoming are horrible. We're going to find out Thursday night because Arizona State goes into San Marcos. Get the Lone Star beers on ice. Let's go. Texas State. This is the biggest game in the history of this program because if they win this game, you look at their remaining schedule and the hardest game is either Sam Houston State or Old Dominion. They don't play App State. Remember, they have 2 divisions in the Sun Belt. Still, the only conference. They don't play Coastal. They don't play JMU. They don't play Georgia Southern. They don't play the top 4 teams in the East. They're going to have a cakewalk to potentially the 12-team playoff. This is a gigantic game. This is why the 12-team playoff is fantastic, is because a game like this all of a sudden has gigantic merit. Arizona State's laying 2 on the road, Bobcat Stadium, over under set of 59.5. Word is Ricky Sanders could be in the house, former Texas State wideout, part of the posse, won a lot of Super Bowls back in the day. I'm all over these Bobcats. All right, I'm right. They're storming the field. The goalpost is going down. I'm there in spirit. I know College Football Campus Tour is going to be at this game.
Nice.
NC Nick, am I a fool?
No, I don't think you're a fool. Well, I mean, generally, yes, you are a fool, but not here, at least. Also, looking at their schedule too, they have a bye week after this week, so that's if they can get the W, that's a perfect time for a bye week to make sure there's not a letdown spot, and they get that extra week to prepare for Sam Houston. On the flip side, I do think that Dillingham might just be a pretty good damn head coach. So the future of Arizona State is looking brighter than I thought, a month ago. But how are you going to not go Texas State at home? We saw week 1, they were looking ahead, kind of taking that game light. They didn't look good, but week 2, they came out, punched UTSA in the face. Jordan McLeod threw for 300 plus. The running game was humming. They ran for over 200. It shows you the ceiling of what this offense can be. Now, I do think Scadaboo can have a very nice game on the ground himself, but I think it's hard to go against the home team, especially with I would imagine that crowd is just going to be going crazy. So sign me up. Sunbelt, baby. Texas State, let's go.
Patty C, you coming with?
Are you guys both locking it?
No. Yeah. I am.
I'm not going to lock.
Well, it's to me, it's the only game on Thursday. Like I'm going to bet it. Because I'm not going to touch that FCS game. So I want to get some action on Thursday. Double lock. Let's go. How about them Bobcats? Patty C, what are you doing?
I mean, look, we've gotten a little excited on rooting for the teams that we like, or at least I have. And so that came back to bite me last week a little bit. So Michigan in particular. Look, Texas State did play great against UTSA last week, although UTSA the week before wasn't blowing the doors off of Kennesaw. Was it 28-16? So it's not – we don't know about UTSA this year. But obviously, Jordan McLeod playing really well, 68% completion percentage. Meanwhile, Arizona State a little bit lackluster in the passing game, only 57%. But like you said, Scadaboo going off 7.1 yards per rush. So I don't know. I think I'm seeing a different line. I'm actually seeing Texas State favored by a half a point. Which I still want to lean Texas State. But if Arizona State is favored, then I am going to join you guys. I won't lock it either just because Arizona State has looked so good and we don't know about Texas State yet. But this is an awesome game, and it is without a doubt the biggest game in Texas State history.
What a fun game. What a fun game Thursday night.
You're seeing Texas State favorites. So right now, I made these slides this morning. All right. And I will say I see Arizona State as a 1-point favorite on DK right now. So what the line has moved 1 point over the course of 4 hours or whatever, 5 hours. I still am taking Texas State, but I think both, Patty C, you're making the case that Texas State might be unproven. I think the same could be said for Arizona State. I think both are kind of one of these games of, because Wyoming got beat down by Idaho at home with their backup quarterback. And then Mississippi State, they beat Eastern Kentucky, who just lost to Western Kentucky by 31 and got shut out. So I don't know what to deduce from those games as much as I don't know what to deduce from UTSA and Lamar. It's pretty much. I will say
Arizona State's win over Wyoming looks a little better when you consider that. I don't know. It's kind of a stretch at that point to compare Idaho and their game against Oregon, and then it's just not a big enough sample size. But both of these teams are better than I thought they would. I know you guys were all over Texas State. I wasn't quite as high on them, but I still thought they would have a good season. You guys both projected them, I believe, as conference Sunbelt champions. Right?
Another thing I projected Texas State in the college football playoff, so I've already planted my flag for sure.
Well, another thing is that Idaho lost their starting quarterback to a broken collarbone, so that was their backup that won in Laramie. So,
and for people calling for a letdown spot, I don't see it. Yes, I mean UTSA is a rival, and it was a nice win, but the fact that they have a Big 12 school coming to their stadium, that's not a letdown. I mean, this game is now even more important than the previous one. So in some cases, a letdown spot might be the case, but not here. I don't see it that way. I see Arizona State coming to town. I mean, you're confident, you're feeling good, and you're ready to play again. Let's go.
Yeah, and if people aren't aware, this is like the party school of Texas State, and then Arizona State's the party school of America. So this is just a fantastic environment here. And I'm glad. I think next year it's in Tempe Stadium, or it's in Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe. So I love this little new thing they're doing here. But great weekday game they gave us. On a Saturday, there's just so much more competition. But this one's fantastic for your Thursday night.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait to watch this game. We got another one on Thursday. Northwestern State. Not sure which one's better, but Northwestern State is heading to Mobile, Alabama. South Alabama, Major Applewhite looking for that first win. They lose up there. First they lost to North Texas week 1. Then they lost up in Athens, Ohio to NC Nick's Ohio Bobcats. They're laying 36. That's a ridiculous. No, I can't do that. I can't. I understand Northwestern State got blown out by Tulsa, but I buy into that Tulsa offense a little bit. I understand they lost to Prairie View and Bubba McDowell, but Bubba McDowell's been on this very show. I'm not going to give him. There's no slander towards Bubba McDowell. Give me the points, but don't bet this game. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I agree. I think it's too many points to lay with South Bama, especially Gio Lopez started the season as quarterback. He was hurt last week. Is he back? Is it still on the backup? I'm going to take the points with Northwestern State.
Patty C?
I'm all over. That's way too many. Like you guys said, both teams 0-2. And look, South Alabama's gotten their ass kicked a little bit too. So to expect them to just come out and completely dominate a team that's lost to similar competition by similar scores, I don't see where they're getting that number from. So I'm all over Northwestern State.
There we go. Let's take those demons. I have exercised the demons. Is that a little Ace Ventura poll? Friday, we got a banger at an MLS stadium. I think it's MLS. If not, it's some type of soccer stadium. I don't know these other soccer leagues. All right. But Kansas City, Kansas, the UNLV Running Rebels, the red hot UNLV Running Rebels, which I know every time I say running, I get a comment saying they're not the running. That's basketball. Well, you have the go-go offense. Why would you not apply it for football?
At this point, it's like the Golden Knights for UCF.
Yes.
We're going to say it regardless. You might still get pissed off, but if so, that's on you.
They're the running Rebels. I want this logo back. That's the best logo you've ever had. Just put UNLV on your helmet is fucking garbage. Put this guy on your helmet. All right, with this big fucking musket. All right, they headed to Kansas City, Kansas. Take on Lance Leipold. I correctly nailed the Fighting Illini, getting it done against them. I knew that line was telling me something. Jalen Daniels with 3 picks. I think he bounces back. I'm going to lay the 7 against UNLV at that filthy soccer arena. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I trade off there for a second. Did you mention that this is a rematch of the bowl game last year?
That's true. They played on December 26th, right?
Kansas won 49-36. I'll admit that I've been slow to come around to UNLV actually being legit. I do think they're better. I thought last year might have been a little fluky. I think at this point, we can at least say that they're a solid football team. Jalen Daniels has not looked the same this year yet. I tend to agree with you, Colby. I'm going to bet that this is his coming out party. He's not happy with his performance from last weekend, and I do think he bounces back in a big way. I'm going to take Kansas at home. I'm going to lay the points.
And it should be noted, he was not playing in the bowl game.
Yeah.
So, Patty C, what are you doing here in Kansas City, Kansas?
I have to go the other way. We've been fading Barry Odom for too long, and UNLV was super impressive in their 2 wins. Obviously, going to Houston and beating them by 20, and then the following week, Houston giving Oklahoma a big scare in Norman. makes me think UNLV might be a lot better than anyone thought coming out the gates. And then Utah Tech, obviously, absolutely annihilating them, hanging 72 on them. Meanwhile, like Nick pointed out, Jalen Daniels hasn't been great. 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Kansas, losing to Illinois. That wasn't a great team last year. I don't know if Illinois has taken a huge step forward. That remains to be seen, but that was, surprising that Illinois got the better of them. And then, look, beating Lindenwood by 45, what do you take away from that? I think based on the information we have right now, UNLV is the hotter team, and you're giving me that hook. Give me the Rebels. By the way, Nevada wasn't even like a state in the Civil War, right?
I was thinking that myself. Yeah.
I think they were just like the southern Nevada.
It's some territory out there or something.
Yeah, it's the Wild West. You take your fucking gun everywhere.
Well,
you know what I mean?
So why are they siding with the South?
Nevada.
Why are they siding with the South? Why?
Well, they're more south than Reno.
The rebels.
Well, they're just rebels in their own right. You could be a rebel, all right? You can be a rebel.
I don't think all rebels look like that.
The guy looks at kind of a Civil War time, and
he's wearing gray.
Back then, you couldn't get any colors, all right? Come on, what are we working with here? All right. Kansas gonna. By the way, I know a lot of books are at 7.5 right now. That makes me like Kansas even more. So
I'm gonna attempt to help out Patty C. I think a lot of people moved westward in the late 1840s, 50s. Wasn't the Civil War in the 1860s? So, I'm with Team Patty C here.
That's true. Maybe there is a little more to that than we realize. No, Las Vegas is just racist as hell.
No, was a lawless time. You can't. Everywhere you go, you bring your fucking musket. Anyone pops the lip at you, starts talking dome football, you shoot him in the fucking face. All right.
That's true.
End of story.
Was popping off around then. Nevada,
that's how America was built. All right. Anyway, Friday we got some bangers, both involving the state of Kansas, because at the Little Apple, we do have the Battle of the Wildcat here. The Arizona Wildcats come into Manhattan, Kansas, to take on Avery Johnson. What you got to do is you got to make shots. All right. And the other Avery Johnson at the quarterback spot for Kansas State. K-State is laying 7.5. Ironically, I think this line might have come down 0.5. The other one went up 0.5. So I'm seeing 7 over at DK right now. But folks, I don't buy into. I'm on the under with Arizona this year. I like the Brent Brennan hire, but losing 2 of your best defensive linemen to Texas was substantial to me. Also losing some other guys like Jonah Coleman, substantial to me. I think even though Avery Johnson did not look amazing a week ago, I am going to take Kansas. When's the last time Kansas State played a fucking weekday game, by the way? This place is going to be on fire. Friday night, are you kidding me? I will lay the 7 or 7.5 with the Wildcats at home, with the Kansas State Wildcats at home to get it done. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I completely agree. Apparently, I'm high on the Sunflower State Friday night. And I like this game better than the Kansas game. I want to lock up K-State here at home. I mean, they have one of the best home field environments in the country. So that puts, I feel more confident with them than I do Kansas, partly because of that. But yeah, K-State hasn't looked that great this season yet either. Avery Johnson's looked solid, not spectacular. So I think this is another coming out party. And I think K-State puts it on Arizona. I'm going to lay that 7.5 and lock it up. Let's go.
It doesn't really work for this one. So, NC Nick locking up the K-State Wildcats minus 7.5. I am tempted. You know what? It's a Friday night. I want action. I think I might do. You heard of the Texas two-step. What about the Kansas two-step? I think I might take both the favorites. Call me Chalk Dundee in the state of Kansas. But give me K-State minus the points. I'm with NC Nick. Let's lock it up. It's Friday night. What do you got going? Which Wildcat, by the way, which retro logo looks better, NC Nick?
On the right. The Arizona one looks a little creeperish.
Yeah, he's doing a little suspicious stuff right there.
I don't know what he's up to.
If P. Diddy was a mascot, he'd look like that Arizona.
Patty C, what are you doing here in the Little Apple?
It is a tough one. I am a little torn on this one. Look, Arizona had a similar performance, I guess, at home against New Mexico as Montana State did on the road against New Mexico. So it seems like they're of similar, capabilities at this point. And being a high-level FCS, which Arizona State probably on the same level as Montana State. I don't know. Kansas State showed a lot in that comeback win against Tulane, showed a lot of grit, showed a lot of talent. And I just think they just have a couple more pieces. However, the hook scares me away from locking it, but I am going to take Kansas State to cover it.
Colby, we got to send Elliot money or send Michael Barker to Elliot Money's tailgate here.
That's right, Elliot. At CFB Campus Tour on Twitter, we'll be going to the game. If you send him a DM, man, just tell him to come through, man. He's going to all these damn games. He's out there. He's boots on the ground. Somebody give the guy a beer and some fucking brisket or something, right? Let's go.
Patty, that's a good point, though. I think you were kind of hinting at it. Was that right now Kansas State much more battle tested, getting that come from behind road win at a very good G5. Arizona's played New Mexico and Northern Arizona. We don't really know how good they are,
and they
with
struggle
the new head coaches here.
With both at times, like New Mexico was like that was neck and neck for far too long for me to feel comfortable. And then the same with NAU. I think they've lost too many pieces. Now this is a non-con game. I should mention that too. This is a Big 12 non-con game, scheduled before they became conference foes. So yeah. I like
a little though. Tulane's quarterback was going off on K-State a little bit. We both noticed that.
But Tulane is much better than New Mexico and Northern Arizona.
That's true. But what I'm saying is Fafita and McMillan are proven commodities at this point. They're going to launch the ball all over the field and be a big threat in the passing game. And if K-State was victimized through the pass last week, then maybe there'll be it could happen again this week.
Yeah. I mean, look, those guys are really good. Noah Fafita's my guy. I think he's a stud. McMillan's a fucking stud as well. I've been preaching him all off season.
This will be Fafita's toughest road trip in his college career.
Yes, by far, I think,
you guys both lock that up.
Yeah. I like a little Kansas 2-step parlay.
What are you gonna be, a pussy, Patty?
Yeah. Coming with, or what are you doing over there?
Depending on if it's 7 or 7.5. 7 I wouldn't touch.
We're picking 7.5. That's what the graphic says. That's what we're doing.
Oh, okay, we'll say 7.5. Then you know what? I'm gonna actually lean Arizona.
Wow.
I'm going the opposite way. I think they can keep it close.
He's the perfect guy for Vegas. They say 7.5. You're supposed to take the favorite.
Well, that's your opinion. I'm gonna, the hook is
lock battle. Lock battle?
No.
All right.
I was on K-State a minute ago. I just reversed my opinion to Kansas or to Arizona. Rather.
I like the peer pressure, though. We do stand for peer pressure, folks. Want to tell you? Look, here's some more peer pressure. Get on over and check out BetUS. Yes, we are brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 40 years. Bet anywhere. BetUS is available at a ton of locations, including internationally. It's not just U.S. based. BetUS has a massive props menu, same game parlays, and so some of the best boosts in all of the business there. So they have a brand new thing too for all live betting. The whole betting experience for live betting, they are way ahead of the curve. You got to check it out. Easy deposits using cryptocurrency. Get lightning fast payouts whenever. And jump on Kansas State minus the points over there. All right. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. So they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? Well, SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Look, build your own model, or you can just copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. But no, I like to do that work. I want to build my own model, and then I'm going to have Rhythm adjust to what I like, and then, kind of give that a little bit of steroids over there. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and has a slew of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insight, which is why I like Texas State. Jump on over there. My model says Texas State is going to get it done. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, man. Love these weekday games. These Thursday, we got some Thursday, Friday heat. Let's jump on into Saturday because Memphis heads to Saudi Arabia to take on Saudi Arabia State. They were on bye last week. Florida State's still laying 7. The over under at 52.5. This goes back. The series goes back to 1959. I'm taking
That's
Memphis.
The best graphic you got right there.
Yeah. Makes me laugh every time. Never gets old.
Yeah. I look, until Florida State proves it to me. Like, I think Memphis is just as talented as some of these other teams. The only thing that's interesting is that Silverfish used to work with Norvell, so maybe I think I have a sound drop for that.
Because I understand how the bastard thinks. I taught him. Now I own one.
That's the only thing that terrifies me from this. But I'm taking the points. They got to prove to me that they even care. Boston College ran for like 250 yards on them. They had like 30 yards rushing. Memphis has an experienced quarterback. DJU looks like ass doo-doo play. I have to take Memphis plus the points here. NC Nick, am I insane?
Again, most of the time, yes, but not here. I'll take Memphis also. You're right. I need to see it first from Florida State. And if you look at Memphis, they brought back a lot from last year. Last year, they hung within 7 at Missouri. They beat Iowa State by 10 in the bowl game. I like Memphis right here. I think they have the better quarterback. I mean, Seth Hennigan's a 4-year quarterback who's actually been at the same school for 4 years. Pretty familiar and comfortable with the system, unlike DJU. Give me the points, man. Memphis.
Patty C.
I mean, everything you guys just said rings true. My one question is, we identified that Haynes King and Thomas Castellano both had wheels, gets to the outside. Seth Hennigan playing great, 70% completion percentage, which I think really does bode well for Memphis to potentially pull the upset here. But 6 rushes for 24 yards. If he's not getting outside the pocket and gutting them, can Florida State contain him and get a pass rush? We haven't seen that yet, so I still have to lean Memphis. But that is one dynamic that Florida State's defense has had trouble with that they don't have to deal with in this game.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah, that's fair. But I also think DJU against, what has DJU done to deserve to be a touchdown favorite?
Nothing. The fact that he's been sacked more than Seth Hennigan, despite being a pretty mobile quarterback, maybe are the receivers just not getting open? How is Memphis's defense gonna? I mean, I would say Memphis's performance against who is it? Troy was more impressive than Nevada, and Nevada's looked pretty good, way more impressive. They beat them by 4 touchdowns. So Memphis. Do you think where do you still have them as your group of 5 shortlist?
I never had them. I mean, shortlist, sure. Matt Dix, Florida State's a 7-point favorite, brother. We have the same number, I believe. So, I mean, they're in contention for it, sure, 100%. So
they belong in the conversation at this point, sure.
So we're all on Memphis. No locks though for me. Anyone else locking up Memphis?
Nah, nope. I don't think so.
All right, let's move along. 9 a.m. I got a lock here. Arkansas State's the phoniest team in college football. They should have lost to Central Arkansas week 1. Sunbelt issued an apology saying they got the game wrong, right? Which would have resulted in a loss because it was a 4th down, final play of the game catch for a touchdown against Central Arkansas. And then last week, I think Tulsa was on the verge of beating them before their dumbass defensive lineman just threw their quarterback down, late into the ground. So I don't buy in at all that Arkansas State's 2-0. If anything, I think it should probably be 0-2. They're going to Michigan. Michigan's going to fuck them up on the line of scrimmage. I will lay the 23. And I know Michigan traditionally lets these group of 5 teams cover, right? They don't pour it on. But I think in this situation, Michigan's coming off an ass whooping. They need to get the fans back on their side. I will lay the 23. Let's go, Big Blue. This Arkansas State bullshit out of here. NC Nick, you coming with?
You might be right, but first off, is that Arkansas State logo? Is that like vicious, or is he laughing? He looks like he's kind of smiling.
He's evil.
It's true. Well, after that week 1 win, I think he might be smiling. He's saying, I stole one. I got one past you bastards.
I'm not betting this one, but I'm going to take the points, actually. Dude, Davis Warren ain't it. And I don't know if they just need to give the keys to Alex Orji, or because at least he can do something, but as on the same, has Orji not looked better in practice? If so, then Michigan does not have an answer at quarterback for this whole season. And,
they have an answer against Arkansas State, trust me.
Possibly, but give me the points.
The answer is the run game.
Yes. They're going to dominate them on the line of scrimmage. Arkansas State's maybe, I know they have Rayner, but maybe 7 points. Maybe 7 points. Give me like a 35-7 final.
Our best player on the team this year for Michigan came from Arkansas State too.
The kicker,
Vada, our kicker, he's got a hell of a leg.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. See, so he's gonna because he knows how the bastards think too. He's gonna let them know that Butch
Correct.
Jones's in-game coaching is horrible. So
I want to hear what Noah's doing here. Noah, are you laying the points? You feel comfortable?
I forget what Sports Gambling Podcast always calls it, but when you get blown out on the spread by so much, and then you come back, it's like the close your eyes play
special
or something.
Yeah,
close your eyes special. That's Michigan this week after getting their asses kicked at home by Texas. But yeah, I kind of agree with NC Nick. This offense was kind of built for Orji, and I don't think he won the job, which is a big red flag. I think Davis Warren probably won the job because of some of the passes that we've seen Orji throw so far have not been great. So it's either you commit fully to being on the ground 85% of the time, but when you do this 2 QB system and you bring in Orji, the entire stadium knows it's going to be a run play. It's just whether Orji keeps the ball or not. So that didn't work against Texas. It's not going to work against power teams, but against Arkansas State, I think they'll be able to recover the 23.
Yes, let's go.
Let me push back a little bit because, look, you might not know if it's going to be a run or a pass, but you know if it's going to be completed beyond 20 yards, and it's not if you're Michigan. Davis Warren, 63.8 completion percentage. That's decent enough, but only 5.6 yards per pass. Every deep pass I've seen him attempt is 10 yards over the receiver's head. I can't trust him. I mean, that, again, I'm going to bring it up. I brought it up in the recap show. I'm going to bring it up again. If you can't hit an open receiver, I can't trust you to cover a big spread. Arkansas State, meanwhile, also not great throwing the ball, only 57% completion percentage. However, they have limited their opponents to 31 points or less in both of their games. So I think they'll score. I don't know. Michigan's it could be like a 27-3 game in Michigan coverage. But
well, buddy, Central Arkansas rushed for 231 yards against Arkansas State. Michigan doesn't need to throw a fucking pass. They are going to run right through that bullshit cha-cha-cha defense.
Edwards, 68 rushing yards in 2 games. Not exactly replicating the production from last year from the Michigan backfield. So, look, Michigan has a lot to figure out offensively. They're almost in the Notre Dame category right now. I think I got Arkansas State covering.
Wow. You guys, just when I think you guys might know a thing or two about college football.
Nick, who'd you go?
You went
with Michigan?
This is easy money.
Arkansas State.
This is easy money. I mean, Fresno would beat Arkansas State by that same number.
Okay.
Sam.
By 23?
Yes.
Maybe they'll play in the bowl game and we can pick that.
Yeah, there we go.
Fresno would beat Arkansas State by more because they have a potent passing game that might actually go off, you know.
But Michigan beat Fresno by a lot of points. That's my point.
No, they didn't beat them by a lot. But.
What?
All right, on to the next one.
Anyway, let's jump to Lubbock, Texas. for an old school battle going back to 1952. North Texas, Eric Morris Agency. They're 2-0. They're heading into Lubbock. Texas Tech just got whooped. Hope you paid Mike Leach's money, you scumbag fucks. All right. Texas Tech's laying 9. The over-under set at 69.5. As much as I just called you scumbag fucks, I will take Texas Tech to get right here because Joey McGuire, you're going to get yourself fired. You almost lost to Maverick MacGyver and Abilene Christian week 1 with an overtime 1-point win. You better make a statement here against the Eric Morris Agency. I like laying the 9 with Texas Tech, and also give me the over on 69.5. NC Nick?
Well, the over does seem like a smart play because right now Texas Tech is 130th in the nation in overall defense after giving up 51 in overtime to Abilene Christian and then 37 on the road to Wazoo. I think the defense has to play better. I think Texas Tech will play better. Their back is up against the wall here. They need to look good. I think they will, and that's why I'm going to take the Red Raiders. I'm going to lock this one up too, actually. At home, they need this. They need it more. Let's go Texas Tech.
NC Nick locking up the Red Raiders -9 against North Texas. I'm not touching it, but I best wishes. You were on the same page, so let's go. Patty C, what are you doing here in Lubbock?
This is a Super Bowl for North Texas. Texas Tech, meanwhile, like you guys mentioned, struggling against Abilene Christian, and then taking a pretty bad loss against, who was it? Wazoo last week, 21 points. So, meanwhile, North Texas 2-0 and beat a Stephen F. Austin team that had won their first game 77-0. Granted, that was
they played North American, yeah.
North American.
They also beat South Alabama. So, and considerably by 14 points. I'm just going to use the information in front of my face. I understand that, this is a more important game for Texas Tech, maybe, probably for their coach. It's a more vital game for him to win, but still North Texas is going to be very excited for this game. And I expect them to cover 9. And look, I'm going to say sprinkle the money line.
Woo!
Lock it.
Wow. Yes.
Lock battle. All right. Play the music.
Look at that. Look, Noah Beanick, bring it up. Throw it. What did North American do to you, Noah Beanick? All right. For you to bring that thing up. We got a battle, folks. NC Nick in one corner saying, give me them Red Raiders. Patty C saying, no. North Texas got to get it done. Can't wait for that one. That's good. Let's go. Let's stay at that slate. La Tech coming into Carter Finley Stadium where NC State they do what they do. Big game, you don't show up. That's what you do, NC State. Come on. And you even played in your own home state down there in Charlotte, that filthy Bank of America place. But look, you come back to Carter Finley, you're taking on a horrible La Tech team. That is, right, they're undefeated, right? But still, they're horrible. This is a game that goes back to 2013. I know NC Nick's had that noted. NC State's laying 21. I actually think you got to ride the pussy pack here because I think La Tech is horrible. They beat Nichols. What did they beat Nichols by? 7, 8, something like that.
They beat Nichols by
25-17. Yeah.
But
by 8, yeah.
Wasn't LSU only up on Nichols 1 week later, like by a touchdown in the third quarter?
Yeah.
Maybe Nichols is pretty good.
Yeah.
NC State, get right spot. Gut check game. I'm laying the 21. No lock, though, because the pussy pack looks horrible this year.
You know what? I will keep the locks rolling. I think this is a smash spot for NC State. La Tech is awful. I think this could be like a 42-10 score. So I'm back on the Wolfpack, and I'll lock it up again.
NC Nixon, ride the pussy pack -21.
Oh, I like Ryan Hasty in the chat too. First quarter NC State -6.5. Oh, I like that even more.
I do love that.
Go.
Take NC State -6.5 first quarter. I do love that play. Patty C, what are you doing here at Carter Finley?
This is a lot like the last game we just played with North Texas and Texas Tech. Texas Tech struggling mightily with Abilene Christian. North Carolina State struggled a lot, even though they ended up pulling away against Western Carolina in week 1. Look, you guys are playing these hocus pocus games, trying to project how teams feel. whether they'll get up, whether they'll, how important it is. Dude, they suck ass on the field. They got destroyed by Tennessee. They struggled against Western Carolina. And Louisiana Tech has one game that they looked similar to LSU through 3 quarters against Nichols. So give me Louisiana Tech to cover 21.
May God have mercy on your soul. That a lock, Patty C?
No.
Oh, okay. Patty C, also, if you can, is your mic plugged in through settings? I feel like we're catching your whole room audio. See in the settings, if you go to audio, if your mic is actually the one plugged in, because it's maybe I'm full of shit. I don't know.
If it is plugged in, just plug it in, plug it out, plug it back in. Try that.
I think I'm going through the mic.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. It just seemed like I caught room audio for a second there. Anyway,
maybe I'm wrong. Hold on, switch it up.
How are we doing now? Is that better?
Now you see that right there?
Boom.
There we go. Oklahoma State is at Tulsa. Steve Spurrier Jr. Unfortunately, my only problem with Steve Spurrier Jr., who's the OC of Tulsa, is he doesn't do the mannerisms that his dad once did, where he's like taking off his hat 30 times. He's rubbing it on his face. It's like he can't even watch his own quarterback. Right. And his quarterback goes over to talk to him and he's just like, I don't want to talk. Don't talk to me right now. This is a letdown spot for Oklahoma State. All right. You just got that big comeback from behind win against Arkansas. And this is a game. This is a series, by the way, that goes back to 1914. H.J. Chapman, one of the more underrated stadiums there. Tulsa's going to cover this number. I can be talked into a lock here. I think I'm probably going to end up betting this, but I'm definitely taking the points with the 19.5 with them Golden Hurricane against Oklahoma State. NC Nick, am I crazy?
I'm on Tulsa also. I like that Kirk Francis to Camden Benjamin connection. I think they got enough offense to at least cover this. I'm not going to lock it though, because there's a scenario where Ollie Gordon, who was kind of bottled up by Arkansas last week, there's a scenario where he just runs like for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns in this game. So I'm going to stay away. But as far as for the sake of picking it, I'll take the points in the home dog.
Patty C, what are you doing here at H.J. Chapman Stadium?
This game's a little hard to project just because Oklahoma State was such a tale of two teams last week. Whether I don't know when they turned the corner, whether it was in the 3rd or 4th quarter, but they were getting kind of stomped by Arkansas and then put their foot on the gas and locked Arkansas's offense down at the same time and really made a furious comeback there to get the win. And even overcame, like we mentioned in the recap show, a lot of bullshit from the refs. So 19.5 for a team that, beat who was it in week 1? South Dakota South Dakota State. That was a 24-point win there. I don't know who's better between South Dakota State and Tulsa. I know that this is going to be like a Super Bowl for Tulsa, but my lean is Oklahoma State. We're disagreeing on everything here.
All right, fantastic. This is one of the games I love. This is why I like this. Look, this is like the low-key rivalry, like this in Utah and Utah State. These games are all fucking awesome. These games deliver. Tulsa, I think, has lost their last 2 to Oklahoma State that I recall off the top of my head, maybe even more than that. But those were very, very close games in the 4th quarter. Give me the points with the Golden Hurricane. And those were in Stillwater. So the catching them at H.A. Chapman, I think, could be a difference maker there.
This is where Ollie Gordon puts up some Heisman numbers. 175 yards through 2 weeks isn't getting it done for his Heisman campaign. Expect him to put up 220 for Ollie Gordon this week.
220, but as long as Tulsa covers. For DFS, it does make sense to load up on the Olive Garden. Next, we jump to Champaign, Illinois. This is the first time they've ever played, surprisingly. Central Michigan heading into Memorial Stadium there to take on the Illini. Letdown spot for the Illini. Maybe after a big win against Kansas, they're laying 19. Central Michigan looked like absolute dog shit, though, there at the airport.
Somebody locked them.
Well, I tried to warn them that Pitbull Stadium, they're not going to lose the opener at fucking Pitbull Stadium. All right?
And it's a prime example of just because Central Michigan put up like 70 on Central Connecticut State doesn't mean they're good.
Although Central Connecticut State did upset Fordham as 24-point dogs and win outright week 2 in the FCS.
Maybe they are the real Blue Devils.
Yeah, college football has been insane a little bit. That's why I'm going to take the points. You look at Illinois here. The past couple times they've played like group of 5 competition, they've struggled. FAU, played them a year ago. Toledo. Now those are better teams than CMU, but I just think it's after a big win, maybe a little bit of a letdown spot. I am not going to bet this game, but I will take a flyer on CMU plus the points. Nick?
I agree. So far this year, the MAC is showing out. As a conference, they have a 14-8 ATS record. I think Central Michigan can do enough to cover this.
Patty?
This is
going back to the well.
This is a team that just lost to FIU by 36 points, and Illinois ended up beating number 18 Kansas by 6. They beat Eastern Illinois by 45. Again, you guys are playing this game of what you think how they're going to react. I'm playing what the data says.
You're using the same logic of why you locked up Central Michigan last week and how that worked out for you.
That's true. That is true. That is the most inconsistent performance from one week to the next. Central Connecticut, they beat by 56 and then lost by 36 to FIU. Makes no sense. So maybe you guys are right, but still, I'm not rolling a Illini, but I'm with you. I don't have a great feel on it.
Well, I don't get brain bag.
I was obviously on Central Michigan last week, so
Yeah, shell shocked. He's shell shocked. I think that's the word. Next, we got a battle going on here. This is a fucking great rivalry game. They've been playing this every goddamn year. This was the first game in Ohio ever played. Get this Ohio State nonsense out of your little horseshoe. All right. This is the first game ever played in Ohio. Battle for the victory bell. Cincinnati Bearcats playing in Oxford. These teams have played since 1888, and the series is dead fucking even. Dead even.
That's a rivalry.
That is a rivalry right there. And Miami, Ohio upset them last year at Nippert. Revenge spot for these Bearcats. They are laying 3.5 at Jaeger-Bomb Stadium there. The over-under set at 46.5. I can't wait to watch this. This is what I love about this rivalry game. But guess what? I am going to lock something up here. Cincinnati. Satterfield's not going to be able to lose twice to Miami, Ohio and retain his job. They let Pitt off the hook. Since he's going to go into Jaeger-Bomb Stadium, get revenge from a year ago. I'm laying the 3.5. Give me those Bearcats. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I agree with you, and I mean, if you're smart, you got it earlier in the week before it went over 3 because it was sitting around at 2.5 for a while. But everything had to work in Miami's favor last year. Went into overtime. Emory Jones threw a couple picks like usual. The quarterback play for Cincinnati with Sorsby has been much better this year, and it is revenge from a year ago. I will ride with the Bearcats. I'll lock it up with you.
Double lock on Patty C's boys. Let's see if we can get a triple lock going here. Yes.
Triple down.
Yes.
All you got to do is look at the stat line. Brendan Sorsby, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and supposed MAC number 1 quarterback by a mile, Brett Gabbert, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 4 sacks through 2 games, or through 1 game, I guess, against Northern Illinois. Now the fact that they hung with Northwestern and played a similar game that Duke did, I don't think it's time to quit on Miami, Ohio yet, but Cincinnati did play a really good first half against Towson, right? They kind of, I don't know if they pumped the brakes or just couldn't get it going in the second half. And then they played a great first half against Pitt. And then I think maybe got conservative, but also just couldn't get it going in the second half. We expected Pitt to be the better team kind of there. But look, I just think that this is in Miami, though. That's a little bit of a concern there, especially with the hook. But still, Cincinnati's just a better team. I'm going to go with the Bearcats and lock it up.
Triple lock with them Cincinnati Bearcats. Let's go. All right. Yes. Not drunk. Just I got a fan going in this fucking house of mine. And it's just my air on my eyes.
What are you crying?
Yeah. Yeah. We're already at week 3.
That Miami Ohio logo gets me too. I just feel the plight of the American Indian and the sadness in his eyes.
Weren't they once the Redskins?
They were the Redskins too, man. So I'm saying when they had Travis
go back to the
Prentice.
Redskins.
Yeah, let's go. Go back to the Redskins. Next, we got a barn burner. Old school game goes back to 1928. Alabama heading into Camp Randall Stadium to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Bama's laying 16. The over/under set at 50.5. Look, I can't take Bama laying 16 on the road after the way I've seen them play last week at home, and then even like week 1 they cashed for me. But I don't know if Western Kentucky's any good. You know what I mean? Like Wisconsin does look like they were fucking around with South Dakota and Western Michigan far too long. But with the energy of that place, I got to take the points here. I'm not betting this game though. NC Nick, what are you doing here in Madison?
Yeah, Wisconsin looks pretty much like the same average, 500-ish team they were a season ago. I think they finished the regular season 7-5 and lost the bowl game. But last year they did host Ohio State, and the score of that game was 24-10, a Buckeye win. I kind of see the same kind of scenario happening here. I think Alabama wins by double digits, but Wisconsin still covers.
Yeah, the fickle hire was phony from the start. The whole world wanted to love that thing. It just didn't make sense to me. Thought they were rushing the judgment there. We'll see how it works out. This is just year 2, but I think it's just a little bit too many points. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I mean, the dairy raid in Wisconsin still just not putting up the numbers you'd expect from an air raid program with, proficient coaches that have shown proficiency in previous stops. 406 yards through 2 games and one passing touchdown. So if that's what you're expecting to be the bread and butter of your offense, the passing game, I can't expect Wisconsin to score a lot. However, I think Alabama, also has shown some struggles. They did dominate a Western Kentucky team that the next week, what did they beat them? 63-0. Western Kentucky came back and beat Eastern Kentucky 31-0 last week. Can't take away much from that. Alabama showed their potential to explode offensively in the fourth quarter against USF last week. And so that could happen against Wisconsin. But I think the crowd, I agree with you, Colby. The crowd keeps Wisconsin in the game, and it's closer than 16 at the end of the game.
Let's go. No bets, no locks for any of us?
No.
Yeah, I'm not touching that either.
We all went with Wisconsin there?
All went Wisconsin. Next, we go to Columbia, South Carolina, in a game that goes back to 1930. LSU heading into Williams-Brice to take on them Gamecocks. LSU's laying 7. I got a lock. Lay the 7. I'm not convinced South Carolina's any good. Just because we had a nice performance with like 6 turnovers or whatever. It's kind of that was a Big Ten West game there in Lexington. But I think LSU rights the ship here. Brian Kelly and his family got to be there. And I'm going to lay the 7 against South Carolina. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
It's tempting. I mean, this is pretty much a buy low on LSU and a sell high on South Carolina. So I'm definitely on the LSU side, even though Rocket Sanders might be, salivating at the mouth to, against this LSU run defense. Who was my guy on Nichols that ran for over 100 yards on him?
Oh shit! What was his name again?
Up here. It's like Guggenheim.
Guggenheim went off on it says you're going to put me in Tiger Stadium. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. Guggenheim ran for over what was it, like $120, right?
Colin Guggenheim ran 25 carries for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. So yeah, let's see what Rocket Sanders can do against that. But I'm on LSU, and I think Max said in the chat, I'm just laying. I got too many favorites early on, but at the end of the day, I might turn around and bet this, or maybe tease it down, but
this is where I remind you that like Old Dominion probably should have beat South Carolina week 1 if the quarterback not did a bonehead play and fumbled inside his own 5.
Yeah, there's a chance Kentucky just really sucks and Beamer has his number. You know what? You're talking me into it. Let's go LSU.
Yeah, there we go. Wheat Tigers on this podcast.
We double locking?
Double lock. We got a triple lock?
You might have to talk me into it a little more if we're going to go that route, because that was an impressive win. It did take LSU a while to pull away from Nichols. LSU's offense never really went off on USC. USC did look good in week 2. Who is that?
Hang on. YouTube.com/the college experience. Noah Beanick doing the Lord's work. Look at Colin Guggenheim. Somebody.
The hell is
Can we
wrong
get
with
this
him?
guy?
Guggenheim.
What? He painted his face black. Ted Danson did. He got away with it, right? Look, he's doing this. He runs for $140. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with his face. All right.
Isn't that a museum in New York City, the Guggenheim?
You cultured son of a bitch.
What a dominating performance. We need more Guggenheims in the world. But Patty C, look, this is a to me, like, it's a good spot to get in there. I think they were kind of keeping it vanilla against Nichols specifically for this one. So I think it's a good opportunity to jump on LSU. It's a double lock.
You think they were keeping it vanilla against Nichols, saving it up for South Carolina?
You know who keeps it? You know who keeps it vanilla is Colin Guggenheim.
Apparently not. He paints his face black.
What are you doing, Petty C?
I mean, this is one where I do think that last week is probably the aberration. South Carolina is probably closer than to their performance against ODU in week 1. Granted, ODU looked okay in week 2 as well. But still, I think South Carolina will probably get just beaten by superior talent. Let me ask you this. This is a deciding factor. How do you think hosting College Game Day will impact South Carolina? Is it one of these moments where South Carolina feels like, oh, there's so much pressure? Like I could speak on JMU last year. The hype building up to hosting App State, I think, paralyzed us for like 2.5 quarters or even 3 quarters against App State because there was so much buildup. I don't know that there's the same amount of buildup here for South Carolina, and it could just be the right amount of hype to like give them a boost. But still, LSU is just that much better. So I got to go Tigers here.
No lock though, but dude, I'm not just. Lenore Sellers was 11 of 15 for 159 yards at 2 touchdowns and an interception. Like, I understand he's a freshman. I'm not trying to shit on the kid, but I'm saying, like, it's not like you set the world on fire over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
What did they got a pick 6. That offense did not go off on sorry, I got the hiccups already. Didn't go off on Kentucky, and they didn't put up great numbers. So you got to figure that they can't replicate that kind of dominance, especially against LSU.
Yeah. Look.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started, and I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana, but more importantly,
who's got my iced tea?
Was that Kamala Harris?
Give me LSU double lock. We're going to cash this. This is a good spot, man. I'm telling you, I don't believe South Carolina's any good. So let's go. We'll see. We'll see if Shane Beamer can keep this Beamer magic going.
Well, that's the other thing is Brian Kelly really needs this one. Really needs it. So they're going to show up, I think.
Well, you're not locking it, though. You sandbagging son of a
bitch. You think I should? I think you might have convinced me. All that. Throw me the Friends for Eternity.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. I mean, just
welcome to the party, pal.
Let's go. Triple lock. LSU -7. Let's go. We Tigers.
All right. So if you're keeping score at home, we have the 2 triple locks are both road favorites. What could go wrong?
Hey, this year I feel like the road teams are doing all right. All right, let's jump into the next one. We got Boston College heading to Columbia, Missouri, catching 17.5. Over under set of 53.5. Just gonna keep this lock train going. I don't believe Missouri is some fucking juggernaut. This is a team that beat Middle Tennessee by 5 last year. They won a lot of close games. Their DC Blake Baker heads out to LSU. Boston College, and they just had. Is this? I know. I think the next home game is the red bandana game, but we got 9-11. I forget the guy's name right now. We should definitely. Noah, can you pull up Boston College's the guy they honor? I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. That went back in tonight. That went back into the building and to save a bunch of people. I'm not fading Boston
Good
College
reference.
at fucking 9-11. All right. I'm not fading them. Lock it up. Give me the BC Eagles and O'Brien. Patty C was right on this the whole time. When an O'Brien coaches Boston College, you can't lose. Give me the 17.5. Lock it up.
I love the logo also. He's like, hey.
Hi,
Boston College.
Yeah. I don't know about the history of that logo, but Boston College is 1-0 all time against Mizzou. They won in 2021. Patty C, what are you doing? Yes. And Wells Crowther. There we go. Wells Crowther. That's a fucking real hero there. Former firefighter who was actually working in the building in 9/11 and saved a shit ton of people and then went back up, saved some more. And then unfortunately, yes, that's a fucking real one right there. May he rest in peace there. We can't fade Boston College. This should be a triple lock right here. They're not gonna fuck this up.
Especially with the hook. And I don't know. I would love to see stats on how they've played in the red bandana game. I think last year they kept it really close. Was that the Florida State game that they only lost by 2?
Yes, but I believe they're saving the red bandana game for the home game. So I don't know if this counts as that, but still it is right along this weekend. So I'm just not fading BC. And I also think like Mizzou, I get it. Murray State's was a horrible FCS, historically. And then Buffalo's bringing in a brand new head coach. I don't know that I've learned anything about Mizzou yet. I think BC is better than what we thought. They have a good offensive line. And that's the logic, really, is Castellanos taking a step forward in his second year as a starting quarterback here.
Yeah, Missouri smoked Murray State by 51-0, Buffalo by 38-0. So they haven't been scored on yet. So that's something to watch out for. When's the last time you saw a team open the season with 2 shutouts? Murray State, in the meantime, lost to Butler last week. Buffalo, however, did beat Lafayette.
Scholarships, just to let you know.
Lafayette?
No, Butler does not do scholarships.
Oh, yeah. So, again, it's tough to take away a whole lot from this. Boston College has just been more impressive than, expected. I do think Missouri has been dominant, so it's not to take anything away from Missouri. It's just that Boston College has been pretty damn good. What was the score to this game last year?
No, 2 years ago, Boston College beat them.
Boston College won in overtime, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah,
it was 3 years
you're right.
ago. Okay,
Yeah.
so that hardly applies at this point, but still 17.5, just too many. So I will roll Boston College with you.
No lock?
No lock. Nick, what did you do?
No, yeah, I agree with you guys, and I agree with Brian Sanders in the chat. Well, I think, the BC running game with Castellanos and Ward and Robichaux, I think they can do enough to control the clock, pick up first downs, go on long drives, shorten the game, and cover the spread. But I'm not going against my boys at Missouri, okay? So I can't bet BC, but I do think they cover.
I'll fly solo. I'll fly solo. I did. You coming?
No.
Sandbag.
I'm tempted, but I'm not going to.
All right, next we go to Buffalo. Patty C's throwing shade at these Bulls. Pete Lembo. Nobody goes into Lembo Field there in Buffalo, New York, in Amherst, New York. This is a northeastern. This is a nor'easterner, guys. We got a humdinger that goes back to 1964. UMass, the Minutemen, catching 5 points at Buffalo. Wrong team favored. Give me UMass. Oh, I might bet this. I think UMass they played Toledo pretty damn well. If you watch that game, I think UMass is going to get the dub here outright. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I'm still not buying into UMass. I'll take Buffalo at home. Of course, I mean, this is the worst game of the whole weekend. If anybody watches a second of this,
you shut your mouth. All right.
UMass at Buffalo. Good Lord, Northeast football. It's this is why Northeast football sucks. I'll go Buffalo.
Yeah, I feel like we have to inform Colby that there is objectively shitty football being played. I mean,
and this is it.
Yeah,
normally in Charlottesville, buddy. All right.
Hey, fair enough, but this also qualifies. However, UMass keeping it within 14 against Eastern Michigan after Eastern Michigan kind of banged with Washington last week, even though they didn't, really compete. I don't know. That was somewhat impressive by UMass. Still, Buffalo, they have a win on their schedule, favored by What's that spread?
5.
5? All right, I'll roll with you, Colby. I'm not going to lock it, but I'll roll UMass.
There you go. Trust Don Brown, buddy. Trust Don Brown. It's a money line play too. If you're looking for a little parlay with money lines, consider it. Consider it. Next, we go to shout out to CJ Sullivan, the bet detective, host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast, who referred to this old school Temple logo as Bill Cosby. After he had dropped every woman that's been with Bill Cosby looks like this Temple owl. I think he said.
Why is it such a sad sleepy owl?
We got Coastal Carolina playing at the link. Coastal's laying 17.5. There's no way I can take Temple. What the hell's going on with Temple? I mean, I thought I could buy in against Navy. They fucking suck. I'll lay it. I'm not betting it. I could be talked into betting this though, but because Coastal looks like the best team. So yeah.
Coastal looks awesome.
They're like the best team in the Sun Belt East.
I think overlooked is how impressive that win over William and Mary was. Coming off of their big win over Jacksonville State, you thought maybe there was a little bit of a letdown against an FCS opponent. There wasn't. They were up 37-7 at one point in that game. I'm all over my Chanticleers. Let's bet it, man. Let's fade Northeast football. Let's go Coastal. Let's go.
I happen to have a lock on Boston College, so you speak for yourself. But I do think Temple is a horrible team. I'm with you. Let's do it. Let's ride these cocks. Patty C,
triplet.
There we go. Finally,
another road favorite. Perfect.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Coastal Carolina minus 17.5. I do think you can find a 17 out there right now. A flat 17.
It's a little bit tough to judge Temple's performances so far, just because they've played at Oklahoma and at Navy, who also throttled Bucknell, which, it's tough to take a lot away from that, but at least Navy's looking pretty good right now. So Temple looks bad, but they've played decent competition, it seems. However, like you said, Coastal Carolina annihilated Jacksonville State, had a similar kind of score margin as Louisville. And then I don't, why do you think the 40-21 margin over William and Mary was impressive? Just because the letdown was so.
He just said it was like 41-7 or something. It was
37-7 at one point, and so I mean and coming off the big win, I thought it was a great turnaround to dominate a good FCS team.
Yeah, I think the triple locks are a pretty easy play here.
Let's go. All right, folks. Look, on YouTube, stay put. On the audio side, make sure you check out the B side where we tackle the rest of the games for week 3 on the College Football Experience. Hop on over there, youtube.com/the College Experience, wherever podcasts found, iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. Get on over there on the College Football Experience. All right, we are back on the B side and we are firing away triple locks. Let's jump on over to, what could go wrong? A series that goes back to 1896. Ross-Ade Stadium's going to be rocking for this one as they're hosting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame's laying 10. The over-under set at 45.5. I mean, what's the status with Riley Leonard right now? They said he was dinged up. He missed practice, right? Makes it awful tricky here. I got to take the points with Purdue until I see otherwise. So give me the Boilermakers. Boiler it up, plus the 10 points there. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I agree, and we've seen the line come down. I think it opened at 12.5 or so, down all the way to 10. Probably because that injury concern. I think one question is this week, like, what do you do with the teams coming off the week 2 bye, like Purdue? There's 4 or 5, or there's a handful of teams coming off that really early bye. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't know if they're going to be kind of rusty or just, not, in sync. But ultimately I'm going to take the points here because Notre Dame still has to prove it to me offensively. Yeah. I actually think this is the best passing team they've played yet this season. So
Hudson Card, 24 of 25 with 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions on the season. 96% completion percentage week 1 against Indiana State. That's tough to replicate. Riley Leonard only 321 yards through 2 games. So I think all the hype around him has to die down at this point. They just don't have an elite. Notre Dame's offense is really a huge question mark. So I'm with you. I got to lean Purdue here, especially in West Lafayette.
Man, if the Irish lose this, they're done, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're done. Moving along. Morgan State taking on NC Nick's Ohio Bobcats in Athens, Ohio. Ohio's laying 24.5. Give me the Bears of Morgan State to stay within this number. Ohio wins. Just give me like a 42-21 final. NC Nick, what are you doing here with your Bobcats?
I've been thoroughly impressed with the job Tim Albin is doing at Ohio once again after losing that many guys in the portal into graduation. I thought they were going to really start the season off slow, but the offense is playing pretty good. Defense has been, solid. I'll lay the points here. I'm never too comfortable laying a big number with Ohio, but let's go.
Patty?
I mean, I guess you have to be a little bit impressed with Morgan State so far, beating Hampton and then a close loss against Towson. And they lost by 5 against Towson. Cincinnati only beat Towson by 18. So I don't think Morgan State is necessarily on Cincinnati's level, but Ohio does have a 16-point loss against Syracuse. What's that spread? 24.5. Let me lean Morgan State here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh yeah. This is why you buckle up. Now.
Nobody at TCE cares about this game, right? I think we can talk about it quickly.
This is everything that's right about college football, folks. But that should be the final game of the season, by the way, you fucking losers. The regular season. This should be a Black Friday, like it was for 1,000 years. But look, this series goes back to 1895. I think it's the most. This and the Egg Bowl, I think, are the most underrated rivalries nationally. I will put this up toe to toe with the Iron Bowl, with Ohio State, Michigan, with Army, Navy. I actually think it's like this and the Egg Bowl. The reason why I think the hate is stronger, in my opinion, in these games. Like you get your ass whooped rooting for the other team in their place. You know what I mean? In Starkville or in Morgantown or wherever. So this game is awesome. It always delivers. West Virginia is a 2 to 2.5 point favorite. I'm fascinated by this game because you have, to me, had Pitt lost to Cincinnati, which it looked like they were going to, I was ready to jump on Pitt. But now I kind of think Dub V is going to get it done. The main thing they have to do is just control the line of scrimmage, which I think they can because Pitt's defense took some hits. I think they're improving every week. But Neil Brown should have got them last time they played in Pittsburgh there at Heinz Stadium, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. I think he rights his wrongs. Pitt's been playing with fire against Kent State. It was close in the third. They were playing with fire last week against Cincinnati. They're smelling themselves. They think it's good. Think their team is fire this year. Here's a dose of reality. Dub V comes in there, gets the dub. I'm laying the 2. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
You're right. I mean, Pitt has been a very strange team. Maybe they can put 4 consecutive quarters of football together and actually play one good game. I will say their offense, granted, just through 2 weeks, total yardage 27th in the nation compared to last year when they were 116th. I kind of like Pitt in this game. You know what? They came through for me last week against Cincinnati. I don't feel that strongly. I'm not going to bet this game. But Pitt at home, another revenge spot from last year with an offense that's moving the ball better than pretty much anybody thought. So give me Pitt.
I think Pitt has more like home run. Oh, and get yourself an Eat Shit Pitt t-shirt there over at the SGPN merch store. I think this is the blueprint though. I think Pitt has the more dynamic offense, but if you could just shut down the big play, I think and West Virginia, I do believe, is better on the line of scrimmage. I think they're a better team on the line of scrimmage than Pitt, and I think that will be the edge. Limit the possessions for Eli Holstein. Give me Dub V in a close one. These games are always insane. Wouldn't be surprised if this was an overtime win of 33-30, 30-27. But I'm going to lay the 2. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I mean, when you look at Pitt's performances so far, I guess you guys kind of indicated that you weren't so impressed by their first half performance against Kent State. Was it 28-14?
No, it was more so the third quarter, I think.
Yeah.
that they pulled away. 14 to 10.
No,
Yeah.
Kent State
that
made
they
it
struggled.
close. Yeah.
14 to 10 in the third quarter. So yeah, you're right. A little bit of a struggle, but still ended up winning that game by 31 points. And then the fact that they were getting their ass, what was it, like 27-6 against Cincinnati? That's a big concern. That is like maybe West Virginia doesn't clam up and give the game away in a way that Cincinnati has been prone to do recently. However, beating Albany doesn't prove much, and Penn State's struggle against Bowling Green suggests that maybe West Virginia isn't, a superstar team this year. That said, this is a super close game. I would favor West Virginia by 2 on a neutral field, but I think since it's in Pitt, I'm going to lean Pitt to cover and probably money line.
There we go. Shout out to Jacob. Friend recommended me this channel, and I've been a college football fan ever since. Great work, guys. Can't wait to keep tuning in for more money. There we go. Appreciate you, Jacob. I had a hard time reading you, but you everything was right. That's just the amount of cocktails I've had. Appreciate you, brother. I tend to think that's misleading. First off, Albany they were a Final Four team in the FCS last season, so I don't think there's any shame in that score against Albany.
Well, they beat Long Island by 6 the previous
I know, because I locked up the Long Island fucking Sharks plus the points, because life at the Reese Poffenberger shouldn't be that hard. All right. No, I just think I think Pitt's been playing with fire. It's a good spot for W to get him. They're the more desperate team too.
Might be right.
When's Florida going to go back to this logo? This logo is fucking phenomenal. Texas A&M heads into Gainesville, Florida. DJ Lagway, nice first start there against the Sanford Bulldogs. I think he's going to get the start in this one.
Not so fast. I think it might be Mertz. I think Mertz has cleared the concussion protocol. I'm hearing it might be Mertz.
Really?
Yeah, I think so too.
It's a mistake.
I agree. It's a mistake.
Yeah.
And also,
I got a lock for you.
Well, and also probably their best offensive player, Eugene Wilson, he's also questionable. I'm not sure what they're doing at Florida.
It's just very weird, because I think the only way Napier keeps his job is if Lagway is successful, and not putting him out there is a weird decision.
For sure.
Well, Mike Elko against a quarterback that's 50-50, and his name's Graham Mertz, or against a freshman that's potentially playing in a second game. Give me A&M to right their wrongs. I'm going to lay the 3. Feel pretty good about it. Line of scrimmage is everything. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I feel pretty good about it too. It's just I keep on betting on these road favorites here. I think you're right. I might end up locking it, but for this right now, I'm just going to take Texas A&M laying the number.
Patty, what are you doing at the swamp ass here?
I mean, it is tempting to lock it. I will say that Texas A&M's quarterback play leaves something to be desired. 52% completion percentage. 225 yards through 2 games for Connor Wegman. You can't have an elite offense if you're getting less than 120 passing yards a game. So 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Meanwhile, Florida, Lagway was the leading passer of the whole week last week. What an idiot if he starts Mertz. So, depending on, I think no matter what, Lagway will see himself into the game if Florida is struggling, but still 3 points for A&M. I do think they're 3 points better than Florida. Even in the swamp, I don't feel amazing about it, but I'm going to lean A&M too.
Shout out to Ulysses S. Grant. This rivalry dates back to 1869 during my first year of presidency. Appreciate you.
I think it's Ulysses S. Dant.
What did I say?
Grant.
Oh, okay.
You said the actual guy's name, not the TC.
Well, yeah, my bad. I'm consuming over here, but look, A&M's a great spot, in my opinion. Like, I get it. Florida's maybe, I guess they're more desperate. I think both are kind of desperate.
Really, Napier's desperate. I don't think first year coach at Texas A&M going to be that desperate. Really, Napier's coaching for his job. I just
think Florida's offensive line is going to get fucked up by A&M's D line, and then Elko is now. This is each week they're going to be improving under Elko. I just think it's a bad spot for.
Well, how good is A&M's defense really when they shut down Notre Dame, but Northern Illinois did the same thing the following week? Maybe it's just that Notre Dame's offense sucks.
True, but I'll trust Mike Elko to shut down. What did Florida do against Miami? You know,
I thought they actually hung for the first quarter and a half, and then Miami pulled away and poured it on because Miami has that capability. I don't know. I just think that A&M is and Elko is a more structured coach. He'll manage the game better. He'll find himself a way to win the game by 3 or more points.
Yeah, I'm with you. Folks, want to tell you that the college football experience is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Yes, the NFL and college football are in full swing, so make sure you subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast and their college football experience for free picks for every game against the spread and the FCS college football experience. Check that out as well. All right, we are back talking college football. Bina, can you get the underdog fantasy read the
They didn't have
stats?
any player projections out when I had it an hour ago. I'll try loading it up again. But
yeah, all right, if you can. If not, all good. We move along to Prairie View. Bubba McDowell got that win last week. He says, let's go to East Lansing. Jonathan Smith is about to go to 3-0 because they're 40.5 point favorite against PV. I mean, this is a hard one. I'm not betting this game. I lean, I guess, Michigan State minus the points. I don't think PV is very good this year. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
Well, Aiden Childs played a little bit better against Maryland. I kind of came at him last week, if you guys recall, because I thought he played like shit against FAU, but he still threw 3 picks against the Terps. Young quarterback, that's going to happen. Congrats to Sparty for getting that W because I bet on Maryland foolishly. Why did I'm never betting on Maryland again.
I tried to tell you guys. I tried to tell you. You want to sprinkle this Loxley bullshit. I told you against decent teams, he's horrible.
But I'm going to take Prairie View here. I don't think the Michigan State's offense is good enough to lay that many points.
Shout out to DDX Smooth. What's up, boys from California? Big fan. Hey, there we go. Patty C, what are you doing here in East Lansing?
This is complete guessing. These are 2 different teams, like on completely different levels. Nothing that Prairie View's done in the first 2 games, Texas Southern and Northwestern State, gives us any indication as to how they're performing against Michigan State. I will say that the interceptions by Childs are a concern. The fact that they had to come back against Maryland's a little bit of a concern. So 40.5, I'll lean Prairie View, but I don't feel good about that at all.
Yeah, don't bet this game. Actually, if you're going to bet it, take Michigan State. Listen to me. Don't listen to Patty. But we got the Civil War. We got the Civil War going on. This should, once again, failure in one regard. This should close the season. It should not be week 3. But this goes back to 1894. Corvallis is the home for this battle of the Civil War. Oregon's laying 16.5 on the road. I cannot take Oregon based on what I've seen. Their offensive line does not look great. They struggled against Idaho. Guess who Idaho's starting quarterback was the past 2 years? It was Giovanni McCoy, who was the FCS Player of the Year one of those years. He is now Oregon State starting quarterback. I'm not going to take Oregon right now. They don't look complete. They should have lost. I thought Boise was the better team the other night. I just can't take them, especially on the road. I know Oregon State isn't setting the world on fire, but they're 2-0, and I think they're improving each week. And let's not forget, Trent Bray was their DC last year. He played linebacker at Oregon State. The offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coach, all alums from Oregon State. This game means something to them. I think they're going to have this young roster knowing what this game means. They cover the 16.5. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
Well, I guess somebody's got to play the heel, right? You know, there's a couple teams this week with that maybe were projected to be very good this season, who haven't quite looked the part yet. Maybe this is a game where Oregon finally puts it together, not playing a team that resides in Idaho. So I'm going to lay the points with Oregon, but I'm not going to watch it. I'm sorry. I will watch it. I'm not going to bet it.
Nice Beaver.
Patty C, what are you doing here?
I got to go Beavers here. They did decently in week 1 against the team from Idaho rather, beating Idaho State 38-15, and then skunked San Diego State 21-0. Meanwhile, Oregon did get by a pretty good team in Boise State. And let's be honest, Idaho in week 1 was a pretty good team too. They've beaten both of them, but tougher than expected games, and it took, 2 kick returns by Oregon to get that win against Boise. 16.5 in Corvallis, way too many. Give me the Beavs.
Yeah, anyone locking this? I'm not locking it, though, because Oregon State's still a little raw to me.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Moving along, we got a battle that goes back to 1914. The key debts of VMI. Danny Rocco's bunch heading in to Bobby Dodd Stadium. Georgia Tech's laying 42.5. Over under set of 56.5. Give me the key debts to stay within 45.5 or 42.5. No lock. Don't bet this. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
No, I agree. I think it's like a 42-10, like the Redskins Broncos Super Bowl in '87 score here.
Love that reference. Patty C, do you have another Super Bowl reference score wise to VMI and Georgia Tech?
I do not, but I do have a reference to an FCS versus FCS game, or 2 of them that VMI has lost 41-7 against William and Mary on the road, and then at home against Bucknell 35-28. VMI is terrible. Georgia Tech will cover 42.5. Lay the points.
Where's your Virginia pride, buddy? All right. Not with the key debts, apparently.
Not with the key debts.
Look, folks, before we get to our next game, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Yes, the NFL is back, and there are a ton of pick'em specials to get you started. Plus, great action for college football. They got college football basketball. We dropped a show about that here. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boost and no sweat entries. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries as well. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right. And we jump back into the action, and we have the Apple Cup, and I have a lock. Wrong team is favored here. If you haven't caught John Mateer, the starting quarterback of Washington State, he's a dog. All right. He almost ran for 200 yards last week.
Yeah. Pick him up in daily fantasy.
Yes.
Is a beast.
And look, Washington is just not there yet. I know they're 2-0, but I just don't think they're very good at 2-0. This series goes back to 1900. I think Jake Dickert and Washington State, you get this, you can start dreaming about that playoff spot. I think they go in there. I think the wrong team is favored. This is at Lumen's Field, the Seahawks Stadium. It's not at the Husky Stadium. I don't know if that makes a difference.
I think it does. I mean, what do you think the crowd's going to be? I mean, Wazoo has a passionate fan base. I think they travel for it.
Yeah, I just think Washington State's a better team. They could play this on the fucking moon. Washington State's going to win this game. So,
well, are ticket sale disbursements different than if it was a Seattle or a Washington home game?
I think so. I think
probably yeah.
Game where it's probably half and half. I mean,
well, yeah. If that's the case, then I don't see a huge home field advantage even in Seattle for Washington, because I think you're right. Wazoo probably does travel.
I think tops is maybe like 70-30 in Washington's favor. It's the point I'm making is that it's not like a true road game. If it's at Washington, I think you have to like Washington that much more. But at a neutral-ish site, I agree with Colby. I like Wazoo here. I like what they've shown so far. They had much more coming back, including their coaching staff, over Washington. I think Colby's right. I think the wrong team might be favored. Give me Wazoo.
Yeah,
dude, there has to be some kind of edge these players have, no longer being in the Pac-12 because of the 4 teams that left to the Big Ten. That has to have some kind of effect on it. At least I hope so. Let's go Cougars.
Yeah, DB says, I live in Seattle. This game will be played at Lumen Field, and Washington State has a ton of fans in Seattle.
Right.
Same with our guy, Dean. Shout out to Dean in the chat. He thinks it'll be 70-30. Ulysses S. Dant says it'll be 50-50. So we're all over the place, but Wazoo will look. Like I said, I don't care where this game's at. Washington State's a better football team than Washington right now.
I had no idea Ulysses Dant was from Seattle.
Yeah.
I thought he was from like New York or something,
Missouri or something. Yeah,
Missouri.
Well, I don't. I guess Missouri was what in the South during. We're getting on the Civil War a lot. For some reason, I thought Ulysses S. Grant was a Northern general from the Midwest, but I might be full of shit. Anyway, Ulysses S. Dant, Seattle.
He was born in Ohio.
Ohio.
Wow.
Okay.
So he was right. Look at the brains on Patty C.
Hello. Let me say this.
Ohio produces football coaches and generals. You know, I mean,
they're one and the same. Let's be honest. They do have a common opponent, kind of. Wazoo beat Portland State by 40, and Weber State, who Washington dominated, beat Portland State by 27. So I don't know how much you can take away from that. I've just been impressed.
You can take away none from that. Washington State was lost by a field goal a year ago. Most of that team is back, and that Washington team went to the national championship.
You're still like harping on that point, you know. And yes, you were correct that Eastern Michigan covered. It was because Wazoo fumbled inside the 20-yard line. It was
still not Washington didn't impress me.
It wasn't a dominant performance, but it was Vegas was about right on that. You know, what was it, a 3-point difference between what Vegas projected and what the actual win total or the win amount was. But Washington's decent. They're not great, but I think Wazoo has proven themselves to be really good. I think the road spot, or the road spot in Seattle, makes it a little dicey. That's why I'm not locking it, but I do lean Wazoo because I have been impressed by Mateer in particular.
Oh, this is my favorite play on the board. Lock it up.
I'm with you. Double lock.
Let's go. They're gonna win this thing outright.
It's a
double lock.
All I know is that I see Jefferson White in the chat now throwing shade at Ulysses S. Grant, saying he's last in his class at West Point. Are we sure that's not Jefferson Davis?
I don't think Jefferson Davis was at West Point.
No, but he would throw shade on Ulysses S. Grant.
I love this. I think we've had 3 straight podcasts of Civil War talk. This is turning into a Civil War podcast. Should we do a live show from Gettysburg? Can we do that, or would you guys? We should do a poll.
At least it's not a dome.
Antietam, Gettysburg, or Manassas Battlefield.
They should have a football game at Gettysburg. How badass would that be?
They should.
That's the blue-gray game. They should bring that back and play in Gettysburg.
Why doesn't Army Navy do that? That'd be great, right?
Right?
That would be fun. But they're both part of the Union. Okay.
Still, just play it there.
We got to get Ole Miss playing in one of those games at all times every year.
Double lock on Wazoo. Let's go to the next one. Ball State, Patty C's boys hitting the road to Hard Rock Stadium. Take on these Canes. Ball State, Missouri State was quite the game last week as the Ball State battled back from behind to get that dub against the FCS foes. Miami's laying 36.5. I got no idea here. I took the points. I don't feel good about this. So I lean give me 52-17 final. NC Nick, what are you doing here in Miami Gardens?
I'll lay the points because I do think Miami can be around that 52 number that you mentioned, but I don't think Ball State gets to 17. I think it's more like 50-9 or something. Could be the U.
Patty C?
Hasn't Missouri State been a decent FCS program to an extent?
Not last year. They were ass last year, but they had Road Rash face. They were better.
They were decent. Well, Ball State managed to get by them by 8. Miami, meanwhile, playing good ball. I mentioned a week ago that I expect Miami to start partying soon. This is the type of game that Miami might start partying before, and allow themselves to let down a little bit. However, when I really think about it, I think Miami is probably a year away from really partying. I think it's when Miami gets really full of themselves and really confident, that's when they allow themselves to get caught. Right now, it seems like Miami's focused in. So I will lay the points. Let's go Hurricanes.
All right. No locks? Anybody here?
No.
Okay. Jump it over to Norman, Oklahoma. The Tulane Green Wave catching 13.5 in Oklahoma Memorial Stadium there. Over under set at 47.5.
Gaylord Memorial Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Oklahoma's offense was ass last week. Really both weeks in a way. That's why I'll take Tulane, but I am, this is, what's my guy's name? The quarterback's name. It's not Kai Horton. It's, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but, the freshman from San Luis Obispo.
Yeah. You just mentioned it on the main show last night. What's his name again?
Man, I'm
pulled up.
I know his name. Mensa.
Looked pretty good. Looked pretty good.
Mensa.
Mario Williams, fucking smart. Hello.
Mario Williams balling out also.
Of course, number 1 recruit in the nation at the wide receiver spot, transferring into Tulane. Revenge game for him as he heads back to Norman. I'm taking the points. No lock, but I feel like this is going to be a game. Oklahoma's looked like shit the past 2 weeks. Even like I know they blew out Temple, but they didn't look as sharp as I thought they would look in that game. We covered with that. I just don't think they looked great, if that makes sense. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
It does make sense, but I disagree. I'm going to lay the points with Oklahoma. Throw this in the same bin as my Oregon play, where I'm not betting it. I don't feel great about it, but I think some of these teams that we expected more from are going to start looking a little bit better. Oklahoma's one of them. I think it's close, but they pull away second half.
Patty C.
Oklahoma, for being up 34 points at halftime, I agree with you. Kind of did look like shit. Somehow Jackson Arnold, 141 yards, but managed 4 touchdowns against Temple. Again, that's probably not the game we take too much away from. Houston, that's the game I'm looking at, right? Houston is a respectable, I guess, Power 4 program at this point. And they gave Oklahoma all they could handle. And Tulane, against a very, very live Big 12 title contender, probably should have beaten K-State. Granted, that was at home. This game's in Norman. Still, I think Tulane has a lot of confidence going into this week. Oklahoma's confidence may be a little bit shot. Give me Tulane to cover, and the money line play is very much there. Sprinkle. So I'll lock Tulane.
Woo!
I'll lock Tulane.
There we go.
There we go. Patty C saying,
I think tide turning. As I remember, I was raised in the desert, but tides kind of turn. It's easy to see a tide turn. Did I say those words?
Patty C locking up the green wave plus 13.5. Let's go. Shout out to Moisty Turtle. Says, I listen to all the shows. Keep it up, guys. Big fan.
What is that, a bar in College Park, Maryland?
What was the name of that bar?
The Green Turtle.
Green Turtle, yeah. Well, I saw Forensic Files the other night with a couple that were at the Green Turtle. Ended up dead.
Oh, shit.
They solved it, though. They're on the case.
I've been there. I survived.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Watch out for what's in your drink at the Green Turtle, apparently. Isn't that a chain, though?
Yeah, it started with one in College Park, I believe. And
there's one in Fairfax, downtown Fairfax.
Right.
Okay.
Where there should be a football team as well. By the way, I was looking for George Mason's football page. Couldn't find it on Twitter. Doing a pretty good job of promoting their program. I want to know what their record is. Anyone out there that can find George Mason's football record, let us know.
Yes.
I think they've only played one game.
Club team. Yeah.
Club team.
So start your football program, George Mason, you assholes. Patty C locking up Tulane. What's that?
Official grass. The George Mason, if you guys haven't picked up on this, is the College Football Experience's official grassroots football program. So let's get this damn thing started.
NC Nick has already donated to their NIL collective.
I am an alma mater. And you know what? Speaking of 9/11, I actually had class at George Mason on 9/11. Kind of dates me here. But I was supposed to go to class that morning, which, if you know Fairfax, Virginia, it's about 15 minutes from the Pentagon. So pretty crazy, on this day that we start mentioning George Mason and Fairfax, Virginia. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and look, the Beanick doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, I've got the schedule popped up. So they had a game September 7th against
not
Waverly.
Updated.
Yeah, it's not updated. I do have a buddy.
Have no idea.
I have a buddy that was a club quarterback for D1 Oakland in our area, but they don't have a FCS or FBS football team. And sometimes these club games get randomly canceled for no reason at all. So, yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. They play UNC Greensboro week 3. Both those teams should have pro football programs. Both their enrollments are just ridiculously large.
Mason is the biggest school in Virginia, bigger than Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Shame on all of them, and may God have mercy on their souls. UNC Greensboro's gigantic too, man. They should both have their football programs rolling. But anyway, Nevada is heading to Minneapolis. PJ Fleck called Tommy Hammock his boy, his college roommate. congratulated him for the win. Can he get some of that BDE that Thomas Amick had, and can they put it on Jeff Choate and the Nevada Wolfpack? 18 points, too many points. Nevada's proven to be a good team here. I think they can stay within the number. Minnesota's offense been ass so far this season, so I give me Nevada and the Wolfpack. NC Nick, am I crazy?
Nope, I agree. Nevada's feisty. I like what Choate's doing there. Usually you see this like year one, a team's going to lose a lot, but at least they come out and fight and compete and cover a lot, most of the time. And then maybe year 2, year 3, they start winning some of those closer games. So give me Nevada.
Patty C, what are you doing here?
Well, I guess, what do you guys think of Minnesota's performance at this point? Yes, they lost a very close game to North Carolina. They're all throttled. Well, they throttled Rhode Island 48-0. A Rhode Island that beat Holy Cross. Granted, Bob Chesney has moved on to greener pastures, but that's a decent victory. So I don't know. I think Minnesota is probably about on North Carolina's level, which is mid-level Power 5. Nevada, though, has proven themselves to be a pretty decent program. That spread is 18. Yeah. It's in Minnesota. That's too many points. I'll roll Wolfpack here.
Let's go. Well, we got a doozy here.
There we go.
App State, fresh off. I understand App State was looking ahead to ECU, and Clemson caught them.
Can you blame them?
Caught them. I get it. This series goes back to 1932. App State is coming into G Vegas. Take on my Pirates. And Vegas. All right. What are you doing, Vegas? You're making App State the favorites?
I haven't seen a -3. You're putting that number up there to cover yourself because you're going to take ECUs. Tell me where it's 3. I haven't seen a 3 all week.
All right, we'll see about this.
Noah, back me up here. What's on DK right now?
Noah, can you go to
I see it at 2
at DK?
You sandbagging son of a bitch. You're inflating that number.
No.
Trying to cover your pirate ass.
No, I was 3, dude. Let me see this. Let me find this. I see 2.5 right now. But
I've seen 1.5, 2, 2.5.
No, 2.5 at DK right now.
I haven't seen a 3 anywhere.
Either way.
Phoenix, back me up on this.
Yeah, what do we got?
So I got it opening at 3, but there's currently not a 3 anywhere.
Well, check this out. I don't need any points. They're winning this on the fucking money line.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
You know who's got the best rush defense in America?
Is that right? Mike Houston getting it done.
Well, when you played Norfolk State and ODU, I mean, okay. App State played Clemson.
Okay, and you played East Tennessee State also. All right, so
you mean ODU that gave South Carolina, who's hosting College Game Day this week, everything they can handle?
Patty Z, what side are you on here? It seems like I'm facing a tag team here, which is fine. I can take on a tag team. Because
you have taken on plenty, I'm sure, in your time, Nick.
Not sure what that means.
You just walked right into that one.
Buddy,
go ahead.
This is I understand like you get embarrassed if you're App State, but that was a body blow game against Clemson. App State's defense looked fucking horrible. And ECU's putting up yards. Mason Garcia's turned the ball over. He leads the nation in picks, but they are putting up yards. They severely outgained. Bringing in that Ole Miss offensive coordinator from Lane Kiffin there, the portal god, has really ignited this ECU offense, and I think the defense is super legit. And the fact that we're at home, I mean, there's no way they're gonna come into Greenville and get the dub. This is a lock.
I'm sorry,
ECU
the whole Greenville thing doesn't have the mystique that it once did. Okay.
Well, neither does Boone after App State just got throttled by 50 at halftime last week.
I feel that wasn't in Boone, Patty C.
Yeah, I don't care if it was in Boone or anywhere.
I feel like Patty C is mad because App State whooped JMU's ass last year. I was there in person.
Yeah, what happened the year before that?
What?
What happened the year before that? Oh, App State was flying high, and JMU came in there and stole their lunch. So
I thought this was going to be me. I thought this was going to be me versus Colby here, and then Patty C jumping into the mix, picking sides. Obviously,
honestly, I've just been more impressed by ECU than App State so far.
Okay, fine. Pick them. Now, in the battle of quarterbacks with Hispanic sounding last names, Joey Aguilar for App State has 0 interceptions through 8 quarters. Your boy Garcia had 7 interceptions thrown through 8 quarters of football.
That's a good stat.
Keep turning that ball over and see what happens when App State comes to town.
Well,
I'm locking up the Mountaineers.
Oh, let's do
go.
some battle. Because your little bullshit. Look, App State's a run first team. You're not going to be able to run on ECU. They're the best run defense in the land. Bring it on. Get out of here. When's the last time you won in Greenville? That fucking JFK administration, you fucking losers.
Have they played as an FBS team in Greenville? No.
Okay. Well, whatever.
You know where App State has beat ECU? In Boone at home, in Charlotte on a neutral field. Here's the trifecta where we go to Greenville get the win.
Patty C, you coming aboard?
I'm not touching this game. This is your fight, but I'm joining you, Colby. I think ECU is the better team, and they're at home and they're getting 3. Give me ECU all day.
Oh yeah,
well, they're getting 2 or 2.5.
We got a battle. The G Vegas Pirates gonna flush the toilet on the Mountaineers. NC Nick thinks otherwise. Let's go. All right. Love it.
And by the way, the game I'm looking forward to the most this weekend.
Woo!
Yeah, a fun one. This should be a fucking rivalry game. Let's be honest.
It was. I mean, yeah. I feel like they're on that path. If they play again, I think they have a. North Carolina has that bill where they keep playing each other. Like
there's a new state law in North Carolina where all the public universities have to play each other. Yeah, they have so many games within so many years. So I love it. It's a great idea. Bring back regional college football.
Yeah. What do we got here, B-Nick? YouTube.com/the college experience. Jack Gibson, 60-yard scamper. First touchdown of his career.
Yeah, so I found this on George Mason's Twitter. It looks like their first game was canceled because this is September 8th. The head coach, Coach Raffle, says scrimmage. So they did not play their first official.
Sounds like a win. Someone canceled.
Still undefeated.
Sounds like a win for Mason. Moving along. The Troy Trojans are heading to Kinnick. Iowa's laying 22. The over-under's at 38.5. I'll take the Hawkeyes to get it done. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about locking it, but then I was like, I just don't know if they can score 22. But give me Iowa minus the points here. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I agree. Troy is struggling, especially on offense, and the last place you want to go when you're a struggling offense is to Iowa City after the Hawkeyes just lost a game. So I'll roll Iowa.
Patty?
You got to go Iowa here. I want to look up my boy Caden Weegen's punt return stats. I can't find it right off the bat, but when you have a threat like that and you have an offense that is starting to get it done, still laying 22 with Iowa, always a dangerous proposition. What do you think? Iowa State because Iowa was getting off a little bit in the first half. They were scoring
13-0 on them at halftime.
Yeah, and then I guess that's scoring for Iowa.
Well, no, if anything, that was the downside is they got down to the 2-yard line. They couldn't score a touchdown. They had to kick for settle for field goals. And if they had scored touchdowns there, I think that game would have been over.
Yeah, I think Iowa was probably the better team there, but credit to Iowa State for getting it done on the road, especially 22, still a lot of points to lay, especially for a Troy team that is probably still decently talented and might be figuring it out game by game with the new coach here. You know what? I'm going to lean Troy. I'm only trying to cover 22.
There we go. All right, folks. Look, before we get to the next game, want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by BetUS. Yes, bet with the best of the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 40 years. All right. Bet anywhere too. BetUS is available in a ton of locations, including internationally. I know you just think because it's BetUS you can't. No, but you can. BetUS has a massive props menu, same game parlays, and some of the best boosts in the business, plus an all new live betting experience. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. Like Patty C saying, I like Iowa minus the points, but Yeah, get on over there. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. So they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? Well, SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props, all that good stuff. Look, you can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. Exactly. You could just copy that. Boom. Hit that copy button. Or you can build your own. And Rhythm will build everything around that. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop. They also have a slew of stats, research, and trend analysis that will give you even more of a betting insight. I told you I like them Texas State Bobcats. They got me. My model gave me Texas State to get it done against ASU. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back and talking ball, college football experience, youtube.com/the college experience. Iowa averaging 30 yards per kick return and 18.4 yards per punt return. Not sure if it's been updated after Iowa State, but yes, kind of kicking at. That's what they do. Special teams, man. They kill it on special teams. Shout out to the great Noah Beanick on the boards.
Let me tell you this. I'm going to dig into the old high school football vault here. Having a special teams coach that knows what the hell he's doing makes a huge difference just in terms of like, I wonder if that's the same guy. You know, I ran down on kickoffs in college, but that was kind of the extent of the, exposure I got there. But like, as far as like design, I don't know. I would love to see who the top coordinators or the top special teams coaches in college football are. Obviously it was well known before that Beamer was, head of the class, but you would think Iowa is probably
Kansas State. No, Utah's always great special teams too. I feel like,
it makes a difference.
There's certain teams where they always have an edge. It seems like. Moving along, Trent Dilfer. I tried to warn you guys last week that Dilfer was going up against someone that they disrespected. The University of Alabama Birmingham. Shout out to Welcome UAB. They disrespected Brian Vincent, who stayed with the program during the dark years. Interim head coach goes 7-6. Bill Clark needed some major surgery, and they didn't retain him. And even worse, they had him. They hired Trent Dilfer while he was still the head coach. So they share a fucking office. Well, Brian Vincent got revenge on Trent Dilfer as they took ULM and General Booty and just whooped UAB's ass in Monroe, Louisiana. Now UAB goes to Fayetteville, Arkansas to take on Bobby Petrino, aka Road Rash Face. Arkansas is laying 24.5. This one's hard. I give me UAB with the hook, but I don't know. I don't feel good about this one. Nick, what are you doing here?
I'll go Arkansas, but I mean that score 32-6 at ULM. UAB was shut out in the second half. Only 260 yards of offense for UAB. After I was saying that the offense is actually moving some, that wasn't the case. I'll go Arkansas here. Lay the number.
Patty?
I've already, have to eat crow here in terms of Bobby Petrino turning Taylon Green into a passer. 68 attempts through 2 games, which I guess isn't that too many, but 645 passing yards. So he's averaging more than 300 passing yards a game. I want to say his total passing yards last season was like 1,400. So he has turned him into a magnificent passer. I think Arkansas is going to cover this. UAB trash, got smacked by ULM, like you mentioned. Arkansas easily covers. In fact, I'll lock this. I'll lock Arkansas to cover at home.
There we go. Patty C. Woo Pig Suey. Laying the 24.5. Lock it up. All right. Moving along. We got a look. Beanick, do we have an official report on if Cam Rising's playing or Spencer Petras? Because if Spencer Petras is not playing, that means the pig farmer, Bryson Barnes, who was Utah's starting quarterback last season, is the starter at Utah State. If that's the case, which adds a little bit more spice. And I had a chance to sit down with Nate Drilling, the interim head coach at Utah State, about a month or so ago, and he told me that people were already gonna be camping out for this game. It's been a while since Utah's played in Logan, so I'm kind of fascinated by that. But if they have Cam Rising, like, I'm going to lay the 20.5. But if they don't have Cam Rising, which, I just feel like he never finishes a game. This series goes back to 1892.
It was his passing hand that got injured in the second half of last week?
Yes. And they were up 23-0. And ever since then, they couldn't score. So I do think we'll have a game if that's the case. So I guess with the uncertainty, give me the points in the Aggies. Nick?
Yeah, I agree. My assumption, which is based on nothing, but it's just my assumption, is that Cam Rising won't play this game. And therefore, I do like Utah State to cover, especially at, so it's at 20.5 now, but still, I think it's closer than expected.
Noah, you find out anything on this?
You sent me down a rabbit hole trying to find Cam Rising's health status, and all I'm finding is memes. So you get he's infected and he's showing signs of tetanus, could be out for an expected 6 to 8 weeks. Utah Athletics currently preparing a medical red shirt for an 8th season. Wow, that's just
they're fucking with. Yeah,
these are jokes here.
Okay. I know.
All right, we got like 25 more games to pick, guys, and we're over 2 hours.
All right, let's fucking go. Let's go. All right,
the next
I'll make it quick.
About to get amputated. So yeah.
Utah State got rolled by USC. USC probably has a much more potent offense, especially if Cam Rising isn't there. But still, I'll take Utah to cover 20.5.
Yeah,
even on the road.
I'm kind of excited to watch that one though. North Carolina Central is going into Keenan Memorial to take on NC Nick's Tar Heels. They're laying 37. There's too many points. Give me Central. Give me Central plus 37.5. Trey Oliver normally gets his boys going. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
You got a Durham school against a Chapel Hill school. I'm going to go Durham school every day of the week. Give me NC Central.
Wow. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I am curious what the dynamic. I don't even know what Durham is. I know it's like a town, but I don't know what the vibe in Durham is. Getting rolled by.
They call it Dirty Durham, if that helps.
Okay, that does help a little bit. Beating Alabama State, losing to Elon week 1 doesn't tell me a lot about North Carolina Central. However, having a bang with Charlotte, but they did come out on top. That's a lot of points. 37.5. I guess I'll join you. NC Central.
Let's go. Next, South Carolina State's catching 27.5 at Georgia Southern. Old school game back in the FCS. They played a lot. I will actually, you know what? I'll take the points, I guess. Nick?
I'm going to lay the points, I guess.
It's a hard one here. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Kidding. Georgia Southern has looked phenomenal. I mean, let's be honest about how their performance. That game against Boise was on the road. That's a long ass. What wasn't it?
That was at home.
That was at home. Okay, that kind of changes it. Still, Georgia Southern looks like a pretty damn good team. I think they cover 27.5.
All right, we move along to the Clits. Max Brown's gone. They're bringing in. They got the backup quarterback starting. Gardner Webb gave Patty C almost had a heart attack at the studio when Gardner Webb had the ball inside the 20. Almost sent that game to overtime.
Both these teams gave me a heart attack at one point or another, but you know what? At the end of the day, both of them have already lost to JMU, so fuck them both.
I think they want you to take Gardner Webb here. Give me Charlotte. They're going to win 13-3. Nick, what are you doing
Well,
here?
Shout out to the state of North Carolina, where I reside, for having so many in-state battles this week. I'll go dog here. Give me Gardner Webb to cover.
Patty?
Both these teams are pretty good, and JMU needs a lot of work. But I will say, just watching both of them play, Gardner Webb is a feisty team, and Charlotte has a lot of potential running up the middle. They even showed that against UNC. 8.5. I'm going to lean Charlotte at home, but I wouldn't touch this one. This is a good game.
All right, next up we go. We got an old school rivalry here. Somewhat. They used to be in the CUSA. Used to play, and this used to be the rivalry week game. Florida International, Florida Atlantic goes back to 2002 when these programs both were startup programs. FAU is laying 5. The over-under at 43.5. No. This Pitbull energy is can't be stopped. Give me Mike McIntyre and the airport to come into Del Boca Vista and cover the 5. NC Nick, what are you doing?
I got 2 words for you. Fade Fancher. Let's go FIU.
That little cockanemi bullshit slide he's doing. All right. The Lord knows, all right, that you are cheating football with that bullshit abrupt slide, Dylan Gabriel, Jeff Levy nonsense. Take FIU on the money line. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I'm going to say that Florida International's performance against Central Michigan probably makes them get all the credit they deserve. However, Florida Atlantic hanging with Central Michigan and playing Army, I guess, decently gives them what the spread on this is 5 FAU favored, wrong team favored. FIU gets the win. These teams, I just looked it up, 53 minutes apart. Miami football is rocking and rolling. This should be played on the last game of every season. Florida International, the better team here. Give me the Panther.
I agree. UTEP heading to the Flaming Libs of Liberty in Lynchburg, Virginia. UTEP fresh off an FCS loss to Southern Utah. The Thunderbirds coming in and catching one. Libs are laying 23. I guess I'll lay it. Get right spot for Liberty. Nick, what are you doing here?
Yep, I'm throwing Liberty in the same bin with Oregon and Oklahoma, teams we thought were going to be better that had been sluggish out the gates. Maybe they finally awaken here. Give me Liberty.
By the way, team leader in the chat saying Florida said they're going to play both quarterbacks.
Oh, well, that's I don't know.
Patty C, what are you doing here in Lynchburg with the Flaming Libs and the Miners?
Liberty 23-point favorites barely beat a New Mexico State team that you thought was going to fall off without Jerry Kill there. Only a 6-point win, and it required a comeback. Campbell, they only beat by 17. Meanwhile, UTEP has gotten slapped around by Nebraska, who also slapped around Colorado, and then lost a close one to Utah State. 23 points in Lynchburg. I guess Liberty has enough to cover that, but I don't feel great about that.
All right, you got UConn. Shout out to FBI Tugboat. We're on A&M, buddy. UConn is heading into Wallace Wade Stadium. They lead the all-time series, NC Nick. You've been intimidated about the Huskies coming in to Wallace Wade, catching 17.
And they won that national championship game in 99.
Ooh. I got a lock. UConn plus 17. Sprinkle that money line. Sprinkle that money line. Fresh off your Big Ten win. Lakeside. All right. You come back to Durham. Watch out for Jim Moore on these Huskies. Nick, what are you doing here?
I actually think it's going to be closer than 17. I was surprised at this big of a number. Duke's got the injury bug already. Jacquez Moore, starting running back, was in a boot, taken out early in that Northwestern game. Starting tight ends out for the season. You know what? Duke is finding their way. Nice win at Northwestern. Another ACC road win against the Big Ten, by the way. Duke wins this, but I think it's a couple too many points here.
Shout out to the 230 plus watching live on YouTube. Drop a like and subscribe. I see 908 watching via everything. So shout out to everybody doing that. Patty C, what are you doing here at Wallace Wade?
Well, let me say this. After getting slaughtered by Maryland in week 1, UConn did a nice rebound against Merrimack, destroying them, a Merrimack team that had held their own against Air Force the week before. So I think UConn may have recovered a little bit there. However, Duke, I do feel like is a pretty solid program here. That game against Northwestern was really tough. They ended up getting it done when it counted. 17 at home. I'm going to go Duke. I'm going to go Duke here.
Yep. All right. We're doing a lot of disagreements, especially on all my locks. I love it. The Hokies, let's keep this lock train going because this is insulting. So the Hokies have played at SB Ballard Stadium there, the home of Old Dominion, twice. They've lost both games outright as heavy favorites. Virginia Tech's laying 15. The over-under set at 49.5. Get the fuck out of here. Lock up Old Dominion plus the points. Lock up plus the point. The money line is live here. This is a game. Old Dominion's not that bad. They're not that bad. They almost beat Carolina. Stayed in it with ECU. NC Nick, you coming?
Well, I'm 0-2 ATS laying points with Virginia Tech so far. So it's about time we switch. One of the interesting stats so far, Drones, his rushing this year, 31 rushes for 32 yards.
Oh, man.
Kind of crazy because, that offense was cranking at the end of last year. He was throwing the ball. He was running for a ton of yards. He's been bottled up big time so far. Why not go ODU in the points here? I'm with you, Colby. Sign me up. Let's go.
Patty C, triple lock?
Of course, dude. I think ECU has gotten back on track to where they are, the team they were. How many wins did they have 2 years ago?
8 wins.
8 wins in the year before that. What, 7?
Yeah.
I think last year was an aberration. And Old Dominion barely lost to ECU and barely lost at South Carolina the week before. I think ODU is a much better team than their 0-2 record indicates. And I think they're going to get the better. Well, they won't beat Virginia Tech, but they'll cover a 15-point spread. Give me the Monarchs at home.
Triple lock. ODU. Let's go. Little brother. Come on. Great spot. All right,
Virginia Tech was concerning against Marshall too, right?
I didn't think they were super impressive against Marshall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like this spot. Moving forward, Colgate taking on the Akron Zips. Shout out to Zippy. Akron's laying 14.5.
Looks like a kid's cartoon.
Guess what? I got a lock for you.
Colgate?
Colgate will not cover 14.5. Akron is going to stick it to them. 35-7 final. Joe Moorhead, first win of the season. Let's go. Lay it with the Akron Zips. Nick?
I'm not fucking betting this game. Give me the points. Both teams are 0-2. I ain't laying 2 touchdowns plus with Akron. No, give me Colgate.
Patty C?
Colby was chirping in my ear so much last weekend about how I didn't watch any of Akron's game, but it sounded like they were competitive. Who are they playing?
Rutgers.
Even though
I told Colby lay the points with Rutgers. He didn't listen.
He did not listen. 49-17. Still
got to make your chip shots.
I do think I glanced over enough at that game to see Akron being competitive with the likes of Rutgers, and obviously they kept it somewhat close against Ohio, not close against Ohio State, but had a decent performance against. I'll have them covering 14.5 against Colgate.
I'm telling you, lock it up. Come with me. Come with me on this journey.
No.
All right. Moving along. Bethune Cookman's at Western Michigan. Good get right spot for Lance Taylor. I will lay the 32.5, but no bet. Nick?
Yes. I mean, considering he's, faced Wisconsin and Ohio State the first 2 weeks, I think the schedule lightens up and they're gonna be like, oh my goodness, we have more talent in this team. They're going to run wild on them. I'll lay it.
Patty C?
But do they win by 32.5 is the question.
I'll lay it.
I'll lay it
All
too.
Right. Again, I'm playing the I trust Nick Dant on Western Michigan game all day. So I'm just not willing to put in the research on Western Michigan. Let's
2-0 ATS on Western Michigan. I did have the Buckeyes covering that last week. And I had Western Michigan as a covering the how many points?
24.
All right.
Cover against Wisconsin.
Yeah. Western Michigan is borderline locked just because Nick knows what he's talking about.
There we go. Ole Miss heading into Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The series goes back to 2006. Ole Miss is laying 24. Give me the Deeks plus 24. I don't know that Ole Miss's defense is that good. I think Bachmeier might be able to get some points on this Ole Miss defense. Ole Miss will win the game, but give me the 24. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
Look, I wanted to take the 24. I wanted to take the ACC team at home, but I can't. I'm going to go Ole Miss 55-23 or something.
Wow. And Patty C, what are you doing here with the Deeks?
Ole Miss has shown obviously an explosive offense, but Wake Forest, I think you were right. You think Middle Tennessee is one of the worst teams in the group of 5.
I think they're bottom 5.
Still 76-0 against Furman, 52-3, complete domination. Meanwhile, Wake probably, you're right, should have beaten UVA. It's really tough. I think that score is about right. I think Vegas nailed it, but I'll lean Wake. I'll lean Wake to cover just because they were impressive.
Elliot saying it's 22.5 everywhere. I mean, I'm going to take Wake over 3 touchdowns. I'm not betting this game, but I would take Wake over 3 touchdowns.
They're just a balanced team, and that I feel like Ole Miss benefits from being super good at one thing, which is a high-powered offense. But if Wake can neutralize that in a variety of ways, then I think Wake might even find themselves in the game, but probably Ole Miss by like 19 points.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. I think it's like 45-31 final. Moving along. Let's go. Jacksonville State. Patty, see, your boys are catching 2 at the factory known as what the fuck is the name of the stadium? I don't remember. Anyway, it's Rynearson Stadium. Eastern Michigan's laying 2 there, coming home from that Washington game. Patty C. Give me Jacksonville State to get their first win of the season.
Wow, right, you're locking this?
Let's go. Let's
go.
A
little surprising.
They got more athletes, man.
I will say that Huff looked a little bit of the part. He's kind of quick at the quarterback position. He's the right guy to run Rich Rod's offense based on what they have at their disposal. However, Eastern Michigan looked pretty good in both of their 2 performances. I don't know that I like them to be only 2-point favorites at home. I want to hear Nick's opinion.
Well, I mean, just because Patty C jumped into my shit with that ECU App State game, I'll remind folks that Patty had Jacksonville State in the college football playoffs. And so far through 2 weeks, they have been outscored 104-41.
Well,
I'm going to go Eastern Michigan here.
Who's Jacksonville State played in the first 2 weeks? Louisville, who went what 11 wins last year, and I don't even remember who Jacksonville State played.
Coastal Carolina.
It's been a pretty damn good program. Okay, Jacksonville State does have their kinks to work out. I'm going to lean Eastern Michigan based on that.
Solo lock for me. Okay, all right. We got 100 miles of hate, folks. This goes back to 1914, and I'm just going to keep the lock train going. I said Middle Tennessee is a bottom 5 worst team. Johnny Red Floyd Stadium. I've been there. I love Johnny Red Floyd Stadium, but Middle Tennessee's ass. I will lay the 7 with Western Kentucky. Lock it up. NC Nick, you coming?
No. This is an interesting line because, I mean, I do think even though I was on the Western Kentucky under and I was looking to fade them this year, it's kind of surprised there's only 7. Give me the home dog. Just a shot in the dark, random play that this game's closer than expected.
Patty C, what are you doing here?
I mean, Western Michigan or Western Kentucky throttling Eastern Kentucky probably doesn't tell us a ton. And Middle Tennessee beating Tennessee Tech probably doesn't tell us a ton.
Barely beating Tennessee Tech. It was a bad FCS, and I was on that. I bet on Tennessee Tech.
But how good is Eastern Kentucky? They're trash, right?
No, I mean, historically, they've been a good FCS, but they're 0-2 right now.
Okay. I don't know. Favored by 7 on the road. Give me Western, or give me Middle Tennessee rather.
So no, okay. I'll just fly solo. You guys are just missing opportunities here. Kennesaw's catching 19 at San Jose State. Give me the points in Kennesaw, but San Jose State gets the dub, and Niemantaloa goes to 3-0. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I think we both whiffed on Kennesaw last week. Louisiana kind of put it on them. I'm going to go back to the Owls, though. I think San Jose State, they looked good the first quarter against Air Force. Still won comfortably, but they only scored 3 points over the last 3 quarters. So I'm still have concerns about the San Jose State offense. So give me the points with Kennesaw.
Patty?
Kennesaw got kind of handled by UTSA, who proceeded to get destroyed.
Oh, they covered against UTSA.
They still lost by 12 against a team that proved to not be
their
not very
first
good.
ever FBS game
against
a team that wins 10 games every fucking year. I thought they did great in that game.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to UTSA the following week?
They lost to Texas State, who's really good.
55-3 against a program that's probably. I mean, yes, Texas State is looking good. Either way, San Jose State 2-0, whooping Sacramento State by 18, putting a 10-point win against Air Force. Give me San Jose State to cover. I need Kennesaw to prove it to me. I don't think they're ready for the big boy football yet.
All right.
Why do you think the Spartan is like gritting his teeth like that?
He saw the second half of the offense last week. Shout out to Terrell Furman Jr. 244 people watching, 97 likes. Get on over there. Hit that like and subscribe button. YouTube.com/thecollegeexperience. South Florida laying 12 in Hattiesburg at the Rock. Over under set at 57.5. I struggle with this one. I feel like everyone's going to be on South Florida. Give me Southern Miss in the points. Nick, what are you doing here?
I disagree. Give me South Florida. Lay the points. I'm tempted to lock it. I think that 31-0 loss where they only played a little bit over 2 quarters against Kentucky looks even worse now for Southern Miss. I still believe South Florida is a good team this year. I don't think Southern Miss is. I'm going to lock USF.
NC Nick locking up the Bulls. I'm with Kyle Combs in the chest. USF is so public. I think Southern Miss is going to give them a game. Patty C, what are you doing here?
A public win sometimes too.
Only 12 points. That's kind of wild. Southern Miss, what's their record here? Are they 1-1?
Yeah.
They beat Bethune, who's sitting there at 0-2. Got rocked by Mercer the next week. They lost to South Florida 48-3. They lost to Mercer 31-2. I'm on South Florida, and I'll lock this up.
Woo. The chalk from YouTube.
Patty Chalk, let's go, buddy.
I can't wait for this one.
Patty, you're back on my good side.
Hey, when it's obvious, it's freaking obvious. Don't be a hipster, Colby.
You know what? Just for that, I got a battle. Fuck you guys.
Oh.
All right. Fuck
we
you
got
guys.
under his skin.
You guys
Colby's always had a soft spot for Southern Miss.
Yeah, and look, they're live on the money line, by the way. Let's go. Southern Miss with Pick Dundee, NC Nick, Patty C going with the Bulls of South Florida.
The rare 2-on-1 double lock.
Let's go.
Or lock battle, I should say.
The Hawai'i Rainbow Warriors are heading into the Bear Claw. Huntsville, Texas, take on Sam Houston State. Sam Houston's laying 4.5. Man, I struggle with this one. Give me Sam Houston, but I don't feel good about this. No bet. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I do feel good about it. I felt a little bit better before it crept up to 4.5, but I think Sam Houston, they started the season with 2 road games. They come home here. Hawaii is one of those teams coming off of that early bye. I don't know how those teams are going to do coming off that early bye. I like Sam Houston. I'm going to lay it and I'm going to lock them up.
Wow. Hawaii is good, dude. You're sleeping on these Rainbow Warriors. I mean, I agree with you, Sam Houston, but give me a 20-14 final. Sam Houston gets it done, but NC Nick's locking it up. Not me. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I really don't know how you have that strong of a feeling. Sam Houston minus 4.5 at home. Hawaii played pretty good football. They probably should have beaten UCLA. Granted, the performance against Delaware State was a little disappointing, and they have to travel to Texas. But Sam Houston did get rocked by a good UCF team. It's a really hard game to predict. I just think 4.5 is too many, and I like Hawaii, so I'm going to lean Hawaii.
All right, let's go. UTSA is catching 35 in Austin. I can't touch this one. Give me the horns. UTSA looked like shit last week. I got actually, you know what? Give me the points. Letdown spot for Texas. Give me a 42-10 final, like the 87 Super Bowl.
Love it.
NC Nick, what are you doing here?
I took Texas here, but I'm not touching it. I think it's like too easy to take the team that looked really good against the team that looked really bad last week. Texas obviously better, but I don't know. Give me Texas, I suppose.
Patty C?
Yeah, when it's that easy, dive into it. That's my take. Don't be shy about
that's your routine at the local dive bar, right?
Right. That's right. If she's giving it to you, don't worry about it. Just take it. Okay.
Who cares if she has a Adam's apple? Just go for it.
Just go. Look, UTSA. Look, Texas had a little bit of a hard time scoring against Michigan's defense. Only put up 31, but put up 52 the previous week against Colorado State. Meanwhile, UTSA getting rocked by Texas State. I think this is a pretty easy play. I'm going to roll Texas.
All right, let's go. Vandy is laying 10 at Georgia State. First ever matchup. Vandy's going to fuck them up. I already bet this, and I did get it at 9, but whatever. I'll take 10. Lay it. Diego Piscopavia for president. NC Nick, what are you doing here?
No, it's actually one of the first bets I made. I'm with you, locking up Vandy. It's not just a play on Vandy, but it's also a bet against Georgia State. So I'm with you.
Patty, triple lock?
Yeah, I mean, you're convincing me on Vandy, and yeah, just the fact that they're starting to look like an SEC team physically. It's not that I'm fading Georgia State so much.
SEC champs, not just SEC teams, SEC champs.
I don't know about that just yet, but looking pretty good. I'll take Wake to cover.
Wake to cover. The fuck are you talking about?
Vandy. Sorry, they're the same team. Let's be honest.
Very similar.
Are you in on the lock?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Double lock.
So just a double lock with me and NC Nick with the doors at Center Park Stadium there, where Terry Pendleton used to hit those dingers. Northern Iowa, Kurt Warner's alma mater, catching 27.5 at Nebraska. Give me the points, I guess, but I don't feel good about this. I just think Nebraska had a big rivalry game, so give me the points, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, situationally speaking, you expect a little bit of a letdown for Nebraska. I'll take the points.
Patty,
I want to see real quick how Northern Iowa did during their first couple games before I jump on this. So let me double check. Beat Valpo 35-7 and beat St. Thomas 17-10, and we're looking at a 27.5 point spread. Northern Iowa typically gets feisty for these kind of games, but I think Nebraska is rolling. I don't know. This is a stupid play, but I'm going to roll Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, you're not locking it, so who cares, right? I mean, Air Force is catching 15 at Baylor. I actually think Baylor's going to fuck them up. Air Force caught Dave Aranda in a bowl game a couple years ago. Revenge is on the mind for Aranda. I will lay the 15 with Baylor. I think they get it done like 31-10. Nick, what are you doing here?
This is actually one of my hardest games to pick. I didn't really know what to do. I ended up taking Air Force in the points. I know it's a rebuilding season for Air Force, but I'm still not buying Daquan Finn just yet. So give me Air Force.
I'm with you, Colby. I'm on Baylor to get this done.
Let's go. Rocky Mountain Showdown. Buffs are laying
Rocky Mountain oysters for everybody.
Fort Collins. Shout out to the Buffs playing in Fort Collins. All right, even though it's a crazy game when you're trying to build a program, don't play in Fort Collins. But I like it. I think it's good for the rivalry. Buffs are laying 6.5 or 7. Shop around. Look, I think if I'm being honest, you take the points because these games are close more often than not. But I'm just going to take. I'm a Colorado fan. They fix it. Lay the 6.5. Patty C, what are you doing here?
You know, Jay Norvell has been circling this game on the calendar all off season. However, I don't know. Things seem like a little dysfunctional after last week at Colorado, but maybe Deion circles the wagons and gets it right. I just feel like at the end of the day, Colorado will win by a touchdown or more. So give me the Buffs.
Nick?
I'm very tired of laying. Colorado's the Virginia Tech of the West Coast. I'm tired of laying points with them and getting them wrong. I'm on Colorado State here. Home dog it up. Let's go.
NC Nick, is that a lock?
No. And actually, I mean, I guess Nebraska was favored last week, but anyway, I'm still 0-2 ATS betting on Colorado or picking Colorado. So anyway, move on to the next one.
All right, moving along. Eastern Illinois is catching 24.5 at Northwestern on the lake. Give me the points in EIU. Nick?
That's an amazing.
I agree.
Logo.
I know. Yeah. I think Mike Wright just got benched. Not surprisingly, that was part of my Duke play last week. Was that Mike Wright sucks, and he still does. So give me Eastern Illinois.
Patty C, what are you doing? You like this logo apparently.
It is phenomenal. I think they should switch to it permanently. Nice little bounce back for Eastern Illinois against Indiana State, 27-20 after getting rocked by Illinois, but that is looking a little bit better. That just seems like a few too many points for Northwestern to cover with that kind of limp ass offense. So let's go Eastern Illinois.
All right. The Georgia Bulldogs are heading into Commonwealth Stadium to take on them Kentucky Wildcats that look like shit. See their passing numbers last week? Unbelievable. Georgia's laying 24. Look, I know Kentucky is like, they've played them close. I think the last two in Lexington.
Last 4 would have covered this spread in Lexington.
All right, I'll take the fucking points. I'm not betting this game, but I don't think. But I guess if you get your ass whooped, maybe you get up. Give me the points in Kentucky. No wager. Nick,
I'll lay it, but no wager.
Patty,
I think had they been hosting College Game Day, then they would definitely cover this. But they're probably deflated again by the fact that this game got stolen from them by South Carolina hosting College Game Day. So I think Georgia comes in and stomps. So give me the Bulldogs to cover.
Alrighty. This is a lock for me at the Rose Bowl. I mean, Kurt Signetti comes in. He told you his team means business. He has JMU 2.0 there at Indiana. UCLA's offensive line was horrible against Hawaii. I don't think it's going to be improved here. It's the first ever matchup. Thank you, Big Ten, for this nice conference game. Catch the sarcasm. But I will lock up Indiana -3. I think they're going to fuck them up. I actually think this is. I forget who I said was. This is like a top 2 play for me. I forget who I said is because the ECU confuses it for me. But this is one of the best plays on the board, in my opinion. Nick, what are you doing here?
I think I agree with you. I went back and looked at that UCLA Hawaii game. UCLA only ran for 71 yards, and of that 71 yards, 47 of them were by Garbers, the quarterback. The UCLA running backs had 13 carries for 24 yards against Hawaii. That is completely inexcusable. I think Indiana's a better team, flat out, and they win this.
Yeah, I think they're way better. I think they win by double digits. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Well, when you consider what Indiana did against FIU in week 1, beating them 31-7, and then FIU comes out the next week and beats Central Michigan 52-16, Indiana then goes on to beat, admittedly shitty Western Illinois 77-3. Meanwhile, like you guys mentioned, UCLA needed a comeback miracle victory to beat Hawaii. The fact that Indiana is favored on the road in Pasadena is crazy, but I am going to take Indiana to cover, and I'll lock it.
Here we go. Triple lock. There we go.
Great. Another road favorite.
That's the opportunity that they're providing us here. Whoa. There we go. Triple lock on the Hoosiers. -3 in the Rose Bowl. Let's go. All right. And Toledo catching 11.5 in Starkville. I'll take Toledo. Mississippi State didn't look very good last week, so give me the Rockets to cover this. Nick?
I'll go Mississippi State at home, I guess.
Patty?
Yeah, Toledo's been, not living up to their normal standards, so I'm going to lean Mississippi State to get the win and the cover.
All righty. And the Bronco Mendenhall and the Lobos catch a 28 in Jordan Hare against Auburn. I'll actually lay it with Auburn here. Nick?
Yeah, bounce back spot. I agree.
Patty?
What did Auburn do week 1 that inspired?
Alabama A&M, but they're horrible.
Did they absolutely destroy them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, New Mexico's a little bit better of a program than that, but 28 at home, sure. I guess I'll lean Auburn, but I don't feel great about it.
All right, and then one of the better games, I think, on the entire slate. The very Golden Knights of UCF heading to Fort Worth, Texas, to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. TCU's a home dog, catching 2.5. I'm not with it. UCF, I think, gets this done. I think they're better along the line of scrimmage than TCU, and that is the reason why I will ride UCF -2.5. I might bet this because of just late night game, but I feel pretty good about it. Nick?
Yeah, I think for here, I'm going to just kind of go with my preseason predictions, because I don't think either team has disproved me from what I've felt all along, which was UCF is still a contender in the Big 12, and TCU is more like the team they were last year, kind of 500-ish, maybe a game above or so. Granted, it's at home, but I'll go Golden Knights.
There we go. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Let me say this. Josh Hoover through 2 games, completing 72% of his passes, 620 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So I guess you could say that TCU offense is operating efficiently. Meanwhile, KJ Jefferson only 333 yards. Still, I think UCF has proven more that they're better than 2.5 points, better than TCU, even on the road. So give me the Golden Knights.
Let's go. Golden Knights. I might bet that thing too. Kent State is catching 49 at Tennessee. This game sucks, but give me Tennessee minus 49. Kent State's horrible. They just lost to St. Francis. Nick, what are you doing here?
Yep. Agreed.
Patty?
Yeah, this is the kind of game that Tennessee loves and Heupel loves to take full advantage of.
We got the Bayou Bucket Classic going on in Houston, Texas. They canceled this moving forward, by the way. They've played every year since 1971. Houston's laying 4. Rice beat him, I believe, in overtime last year. It's get right spot for Willie Fritz in Houston. I'm going to lay the 4. Nick?
Yeah, I completely agree. They're 0-2 right now. They really need this revenge from last year. Played Oklahoma close last week. Houston.
Patty?
Well, again, getting kind of slapped by UNLV gave me pretty big concerns about Houston, but they kind of got right last week against Oklahoma in almost winning that game and only being favored by 4 against Rice. Rice, meanwhile, did dominate Texas Southern, but got kind of housed by Sam Houston the week before. So I'm going to lean Houston to cover this 4-point spread.
All right. Then the Terps
there it is.
Are heading into Scott Stadium. Series goes back to 1919. Maryland's laying 3 against Anthony Calandria and these Wahoos. Give me the Wahoos. No lock though. I can't trust either of these teams.
We've turned Colby a little bit. Are you on the good side of the Potomac or the bad side? I'm on the good side too, Colby. UVA Calandria is a baller. He's a gunslinger. I like him. Let's go Wahoos.
Patty C. Watch, he's going to take Maryland. He's going to take Maryland now, isn't he?
Especially after losing last year to Maryland in a game that they were kind of in for most of it and then ended up getting slapped on the scoreboard in the fourth quarter. I think UVA probably has this game circled. It's a rivalry game. To me, it's UVA's biggest rivalry. I know fuck Tech, UNC. No, Maryland's their biggest rival. And Virginia wants it. Wrong team favored. UVA gets it done at home. Money line.
Lock?
I don't feel like I want to lock it. But
I wouldn't lock this game.
Yeah.
I feel like Virginia is the better team straight up, and they're playing at home. But Maryland should have probably won last game. This should be 2-0 teams playing against each other.
All right. Next up, we go BYU at Wyoming. This is a old school rivalry game too since 1922. Glad this is back on the schedule. Wyoming is ass so far this year. BYU's late 11. All right, I'll go to the well one more time. Give me the 11 in Wyoming.
You're dumb.
Give me the 11 in Wyoming.
This is where you pick Wyoming. They're finally a home dog. This is their spot. I just wish they would have showed a little something the first 2 weeks. So I can't actually bet it, but I will pick Wyoming.
You're going to pick Wyoming.
Yes.
I am too.
Unbelievable. I'm going BYU. Wyoming has looked terrible. This isn't a program that has been up forever. They've gotten up over the last few years. Their coach left, and it's apparent that it is, really bad for them. They haven't figured it out quite yet, and BYU is back on track. They're going to cover 11 on the road.
Lock?
No.
All right, we got a couple more left. New Mexico State is heading to Fresno, California. Fresno is laying 19.5. Give me Fresno minus 19.5. Nick, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess New Mexico State's been a little bit better than we thought, at least me and you, maybe not Patty, but going on the road at Fresno here, give me Fresno.
Patty, what are you doing here?
What did Fresno do in week 2?
I beat Sac State.
Okay, no, I'm on New Mexico State.
Catching the 19.5. All right. And then final game on the slate, San Diego State heading up to Berkeley to drop acid. Letdown spot for Cal? I think so. San Diego State plus 19. You know what? Give me I haven't bet this yet, but let me add on to this. Give me San Diego State plus 19. They stay in this game. They stay like Cal wins by 10 or something. Give me the 19 in the Aztecs. And see, Nick, what are you doing here?
It's hard to bet a team that had a goose egg at home last week, but I do think, look, Cal's not a team that you want to lay a big number with. Look at week 1 against UC Davis. So I will take San Diego State, but I can't bet on them.
They fumbled at the 1 yard line, though. It was freshman quarterback learning. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I'll roll with you guys just because Cal has not traditionally been the team you can count on to cover big spreads, but I'm a little concerned about San Diego State, and Cal has been looking good for a couple weeks here, but still, San Diego State to cover 19.
Let's go. All right, folks, that's our show. Someone asked me about my favorite plays on the board. I love LSU. I love Washington State. I love East Carolina, but I mean, maybe I'm close to my heart there. Some say so. And then I would say after that, Indiana would be the play. Indiana would be one of the top three. So I'll throw, and I like Vandy a lot too. So there's like, that's the five that I would say I like most. Patty C, do you have like a couple that you like most? I know that I'm hot potatoing you right now, but
hold on. Let me get my locks pulled up. I got my locks. Let me rattle them off. Arkansas, Coastal Carolina, Cincy, Indiana. Let me, if I had to pick one, if I had to pick one, I would say ODU against Virginia Tech looks pretty damn good. I would say LSU against South Carolina looks pretty good.
NC Nick?
If I had to pick three, I'd go Vandy. I would go K-State and Texas Tech.
Woo. There we go. No Indiana. Come on. Throw Indiana there. Folks, that's the show. Subscribe to the College Football Experience, youtube.com/the College Experience. Also iTunes, Spotify, wherever. If you can go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. It's been a minute. We could kind of use that love. Get on over there, please. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Also shout out to Noah Beanick on the boards. Give him a follow at 77NB, I believe. And yeah, check out the College Basketball Experience. Noah and Mac killing it over there, doing great conference preview episodes, season tips on November 4th. Also check out the College Baseball Experience that Noah kills as well. That season's coming. It's coming. And check out the Stadium Heads podcast. Talked about the history of college football stadiums, me and Michael Barker, and also the FCS College Football Experience, which will be live Friday morning with an episode. Till next time, folks, this is the College Football Experience. I can't wait for week 3. I'm going to be talking shit to these guys. Remember, Saturday morning, 8 a.m., myself, Terrell Furman on the pregame show, 1 hour before kickoff. Till next time, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the gamblers. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know what you're getting.